my brethren, be strong in the Most High, and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of Yah, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore, take unto you the whole armor of the Most High, that ye may be able to stand and withstand in the evil day. And having done all to stand, stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, take the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked, and take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of the Most High Yah.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 1,
0. Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and welcome to another Sword of the Spirit audio biblical teaching broadcast. And we are your wonderful hosts, the servants of Yah. And once again, we thank you all for joining us on this set-apart day of our Father, Yah Yahushua. So as your humble servant, Shabbat Shalom to you all, and we welcome you. Going to bring in my co-host, Prina. Shabbat Shalom, sis.
Shabbat Shalom.
Okay, well, we're going to get right into it, today's show, because we have a lot in store today. Today's lesson is going to be very thorough, but before we get into that, we want to start off with an update for the conference. For those of you who have already RSVP'd for our Saturday, August 15, 2015 conference, that date has been postponed, and the new date is now set for Saturday, October the 17th, 2015. It will be held at the same location, same time. Everything will resume, defending the faith. We just have changed the date. We're going to have it after all of the fall feasts for those who will partake in the ones that we can celebrate in the land, or those who may just want to acknowledge or just teach on the ones that we can't celebrate here. So anyway, so we just wanted to update you with that. So if you have RSVP, or if we have people who have shown interest from out of town, please take note. It is no longer going to be held on Saturday, August the 15th. It has been changed to Saturday, October the 17th, 2015. Do you have anything you want to add or to that, Trina?
Yeah, I'm sorry. What did you say, ma'am? What did you say, Shatan? I'm sorry.
Did you have anything you wanted to add to what I said in regards to the conference?
No, just make sure you, we appreciate you all for registering in advance. Due to a situation, we had to change it. We just ask that if you are willing to attend in October the 17th, that you reserve your spot early so that we can get account for the food and the different things that we have to provide for you so that the conference is successful.
Okay. All right. So with today's mini lesson. Today's mini lesson is entitled, "It is Written, the Virgin Birth of Our Messiah and the Seed of David Explained." So using scriptures and precepts, we're going to finally silence all of the naysayers who have attempted to explain away the virgin birth of our Messiah and have attributed to his birth to that of the Immaculate Conception. Many of our brethren, most out of ignorance and being unlearned, have allowed Satan to stray them away from the truth and from the true testimony of our Mashiach. So today we're going to thoroughly address every erroneous doctrine and teaching that is currently floating around about our Messiah in regards to his birth. And I kind of wanted to share, Prina, a dream that I had a couple of days ago. And the dream also had with a baby. It involved a baby. And this is, I kind of told you I was going back and forth between two lessons. Today's show was actually going to be about judging and correction, but I was steered in a different direction as far as the way the Most High wanted me to go. I had a dream 2 days ago that it was my brother. You know, I have one brother. And in the dream, my brother looked at me and said, "You are the light." And I responded, "Yes, I am the light that bears the testimony of he who walked on the earth." And in the dream, I knew that I'm not the light, meaning I knew that I wasn't Yeshua, who is the light of the world, the true light. But when I understood in the dream that I was saying that I am light, that I have the light in me, and I do bear the testimony of he, meaning Yeshua, he who walked the earth, who came into this earth. And when I woke up from the dream, and I was kind of like, wow, and I'm, still been praying like, Father, y'all just explain to me, what does this mean? And I started looking up scriptures, and I was led to a couple of scriptures in regards to my dream. And I was led to John 1, and I'm going to read verses 6 through 9, which says, there was a man sent from Yah. His name was John. And everyone should know, if you do know the Bible, you know he's talking about John the Baptist. But it says, there was a man sent from Yah. His name was John. He came for a witness, that he might witness. And a witness is also someone who bears a testimony as well. If you're a witness, you're testifying. But it says he came for a witness, that he might witness or testify concerning the light, that all might believe through him. He was not that light, but that he might witness concerning the light. He was the true light. He enlightens every man coming into the world. And it kind of coincided what I was saying in a dream. And I'm like, I was kind of like asking y'all, are you saying that this is what you're calling me? I know we are his witnesses. I do know that, and we do bear the testimony per Revelations 1 and 10, and Revelations 19 and 10, Revelations 1 through 3, and Revelations 9 and 10. So I do know that we do bear the testimony of the Mashiach. But I felt like he was specifically telling me, this is what I'm calling you to do right now. And I was also led to John chapter 18, verses 37, where Yeshua is speaking, and he said, for this purpose I have been born, and for this I have come into the world, that I might witness to the truth. Everyone being of the truth hears my voice. Right. And even within that dream, I was carrying around a baby the whole time. And I shared that with you, and I didn't understand. It was a premature baby. It wasn't like I was holding a baby in the palm of my hands. That's how small the baby was. It was almost like the size of what a baby would be, still in the womb. Right. And I'm like, what does this mean? I even told my mom, I'm carrying this baby around, and I know I'm not having any more children. I can't have any more children. And I'm like, so, what does this mean? And I believe that it had to do with Yah wanting me to teach on this virgin birth of the Messiah, to be a testimony, of he, the one who came into the earth, and how he came in the earth. And I was given confirmation this morning. I'm going to share the confirmation when I get ready. Just prior to me beginning the lesson, I'm going to share the scriptures that the Most High led me to this morning that confirmed that this is what he wanted me to do. So that's our lesson that's going to be our mini lesson for today. And then the state of the body panel discussion, we're going to discuss the recent passing, well, actually it's for the law. The House. Only the House of Representatives, not the state, is on its way to the state. But the House of Representatives, the U.S. House of Representatives, they're now backing Monsanto, and they're banning GMO labeling. So we're going to talk about what that means. What is a GMO? Because a lot of people may not have any idea what a GMO is. They may not understand what this actually means for the consumers and the people of the Most High, that if this does go, it's on its way to the Senate. If it does pass, what effect is this going to have on us as a nation of people? Where now you don't have to, stores do not have to label if their foods are GMO or not. And so without me getting too far into it, without explaining it,
right,
I'm going to go ahead and play the video.
Okay.
So that you all have an understanding of what just happened, and then we'll come back and discuss it.
Well, today, the U.S. House of Representatives passed legislation that prevents states from requiring labeling on foods made with genetically engineered crops. This is known as the Safe and Accurate Food Labeling Act of 2015, which passed 275 to 150. It would create a federal standard for voluntary labeling of foods whose ingredients included genetically modified organisms, GMOs. So currently, this bill is on its way to the Senate. And if it does pass, it would preempt mandatory labeling laws already passed in Vermont, Connecticut, and Maine. In other words, this is a federal mandate, which would trump states' laws, which is garbage as far as I'm concerned. Now, this bill was dubbed the Deny Americans the Right to Know, or DARK Act, by opponents who say that people have a right to know what's in their food and criticize any law that would take away a state's discretion to require labeling. Now, the bill's supporters including its sponsor, scumbag Representative Mike Pompeo, say genetically modified foods are safe and laws around the country would be expensive. Oh, so this guy's looking out for the people, right? He doesn't want the consumer to spend more because of a handful of activists wanting the labeling. He goes on to say precisely 0 pieces of credible evidence have been presented that foods produced with biotechnology pose any risk to our health and safety, and that we should not raise prices on consumers based on the wishes of a handful of activists. I'm raising the BS flag on this, guys, because there's a poll right here that says that 2/3 of Americans support labeling of genetically modified ingredients on food packaging, even though many of those supporters who support labeling say that they have no problem buying the GMOs, but they think that there should be more accountability in the food industry, and people have a right to know. And I agree with that. People do have a right to know. Now, we can only assume or imagine that this representative is getting his pockets lined big time. These massive corporations, these mega corporations, are throwing around a lot of money to prevent GMO labeling. And now all of a sudden there's these representatives introducing legislation that would trump states' laws, making it voluntary for these companies to label as they see fit. No, that's garbage, people. Now, an opponent of the bill, Representative John Connors, says that the bill makes it impossible for people to know what they're purchasing and eating, and is an attack on transparency. I agree with that as well. If you think that these guys supporting this have your interests at heart, they care about you and your family, well, I suggest you take another look at what's going on here, okay? They don't. They care about furthering their careers. They care about money. They don't care about the people. Now, it's up to you to decide for yourself how you want to eat, what you want to eat, and the rest of it. But I'm going to leave this here for you. You're looking at GMO mice, is what they've been dubbed, what they're commonly referred to as. These mice that you're looking at here have been fed GMO diets, and by third generation is what you're looking at here, have developed massive tumors. Massive tumors. It's hard to look at. It's disgusting. Now, we are in the first generation of GMOs as far as people are concerned. They're treating us like lab rats. Okay? Now, these mice not only grow massive tumors, but grow hair out of their mouths and are sterile. They cannot reproduce. All right, people? So, if you think that they're safe, and that's up to you, but take a look at some of the studies that have been done. This is Spiro. The GMO update. It's up to you, people. The time is now.
Okay, Prina?
Yes.
Okay, so your comments and anything you'd like to add about today's topic about the House passing a law now backing Monsanto and banning GMO labeling?
Well, first of all, it's absurd, because you're taking the natural state of a food and then you're altering its genes. As you know from my testimony that I had cancer a couple of years ago, like almost 8 years ago, breast cancer, and my doctor, she didn't have any reason because I had a genetics test done, and it wasn't genetically in my makeup as far as the gene that I carry. So I'm not a gene carrier of breast cancer. So she resorted it to my environment. Whatever foods I'm eating, whatever is going on, I was susceptible to that gene. So I am totally against genetic modified organism, because, they're taking a gene. Genetics are just genes that you inherit from your parents. So whatever the plant has, those genes, they're taking them and they modifying them. That means to change, to alter, to revise, or mutate. And that's
what it is for anyone who's listening. That's what a GM, because explain what a GMO is, because they know exactly.
Yes, and so an organism. I'm just giving just brief definition of everything, and then I'm gonna give the. So then, an organism is an individual life form. So it can be a plant, an animal, bacteria, a virus. It's just anything that has a form of a life or can breathe. So. Therefore, to say a genetic modified organism is an organism such as a plant, an animal, or bacteria, etc., that has had their genes mutated or revised to produce a new unnatural species.
Wow.
And so this has been going on for thousands of years, and one of the pioneers of this, most of you had biology, is Gregory Mendel, who in the 1800s, he was called the father of genetics, and he was the crossbreeder. He took the plant, that pea plant, and he hybrided, and he took characteristics, whether it was tall or short, and he altered them, and then that's how he found out that genes can mutate. They can, you can inherit dominant and recessive traits. I know if you had biology, you know about the dominant and recessive traits. So, basically what they're doing when they're taking a natural plant and they're injecting it with another plant or another animal or with a virus or with a pesticide for resistance, they're altering that DNA. And when that DNA is altered, you have a lot of side effects once you consume it. I was looking some research on it, and it affects your bodies in many ways because, when you eat something, you digest it, goes in your colon. Once it goes from your colon, it goes into the bloodstream. And so that being said, those genes or proteins that's from the plant that you consume that was genetically modified now alters your DNA. And so that's why now we have a high rate of obesity, diabetes, food allergies, toxicity in our livers and kidneys. We have infertility, like the man said, in the rats. gluten disorders.
Growing hair out of the mouth. I was like, wow.
Yes, gluten disorders, birth defects, Alzheimer's, and cancer. And I wouldn't doubt it if autism was a stem of this, you know.
Along with the vaccination that they're trying to make us inject our children with, which I do not and will not.
Yes. And so, you know, Mantos, like the man was saying, is one of the largest pharmaceutical.
MONSANTO?
Yeah, say that again.
MONSANTO.
Monsanto's, I'm sorry. Monsanto's, you know, he was is the largest pharmaceutical and agricultural company that produces over multi-billions of dollars in genetic modified food, seeds, and pesticides. And as I was doing a research, they also have a vault in the Arctic, in the North Pole, where they have seeds that they took, the seeds of different plants, and they hid them in this vault for future catastrophe so that they can, quote-unquote, reproduce these seeds if, you know, some kind of catastrophe happened, they can be able to replenish the earth. So,
yeah, I'm sure that's why they're using that for.
Right. So
carry on.
Yes, and then you know, just to find some key people that was involved was like Bill Gates and Monsanto and, you know, all of these backings, you know. So, you know, the government is allowing it because they have a hand in the cookie jar too. You know, and
money.
It's yes, but you know, to get back to it, the Most High Yah never allowed Israel to mix and mingle seeds, garments, and to intermarry because
same thing. Yep, I was just getting ready to say that too.
Yes,
mixing among the people.
Yes, he knew that they would become defiled. What do defile mean? It means to make unclean, impure, to corrupt the purity or perfection thereof. Defile is to spoil, profane, violate, tainted, is disgrace. They even said rape. You know, contaminate.
It is because you're changing the nature of that.
Yes.
It's like you're playing the Most High Yah, like you're trying to create something. He's the only one that creates. If he wanted you to mix two things to create something, he would have done it himself.
Yes. And, you know, just a little brief, you know, little story, you know, with Cain and Abel and how, you know, the Most High accepted Abel's, you know, sacrifice, which was voluntary and the dedication of, you know, a gift. And Abel, he didn't accept his offering because it was a guilt offering, you know, because he sinned against the Most High. And according to the book of Josephus, you know, when you did that, the
lesson on the sacrifices versus offering, I remember that.
Yes, when you did that, you know, he forced and manipulated, you know, the ground, you know, and so when you are manipulating, you're altering, you are changing a natural state in which it was once was, and that's why it's a sin. It's a transgression.
It's sin because y'all didn't accept it. What did he tell Cain? If you do well, then I will accept you. But if you don't, sin is crossing out the door.
Yes. So and so my thing being, I know we can't avoid a lot of the GMOs now if they pass this law because it's going to be in everything. You know, I wouldn't pass it if the whole foods, you know, I was telling you this, that's supposed to be organic now going to be GMO and they passing it as organic, you know, but all we can do is live according to how the Most High say live, and we just have to pray and just hope that he guide and protect us, you know, from the sins that they have caused to alter our DNA and the foods, because, you know, that's why we have foods that's not even real. Remember I told you the grapple with the apple and the grape. All kind of fruits that wasn't even in existence. So they playing God, they trying to create like him, and it's an abomination. And I just, you know, pray that, you know, our brothers and sisters, you know, will be wiser in our food selection. I know sometimes we won't know what they're putting in it, but try to do the research.
We need to really pray
and pray
over our food. We need to really pray.
Yes, stand on the Most High word, and if you know the fruit or the vegetable or the fish or whatever is not of Yah, stay away from it.
I would stay away from the fish anyway, because I'm trying to figure out where they gonna get clean fish from when we have that radiation.
Yes.
You know, where they getting this fish from? I haven't even been eating fish since.
Yeah.
I mean, we are in Jacob's troubles. They are coming after the woman who is Israel, the seed of the woman, as it says in Revelation 12. Satan is making his raging war. He's coming down with fury and anger, and he's raging war against the remnant of the woman, the seed of the woman, okay? Mm-hmm. Those who will keep the commandments and have the testimony of our Messiah. Yeah. And that is leading me, I'm sorry, I didn't know if you were done or not, because I'm getting ready to start going into this lesson.
Okay, no, I was just going to say, the reason why these scientists are playing, creation, being a creator, most of this stuff they're trying to make foods last longer on the market, like strawberries stay fresh and add more vitamins and make corn susceptible from bugs. And, just a side effect, I just want to put this here with the soy GMOs, how our boys are becoming feminized.
Effeminate, they're being makes them feminine. Soy makes them feminine.
Yes, it's ridiculous, so I just stay away from foods that are prone to GMOs, such as corn and soy.
Yeah, corn, definitely.
Yes, so the list goes on. But with that being said, you could take the floor.
I just want to, as she said, we need to pray over our food. Satan is raging war. As I said in Revelation, he's raging war. He's come down to the earth with great fury, and he's coming after the remnant, the seed of the woman, and her seed, her children that have the testimony of Yeshua and keep the commandments. So, Satan is not coming after anybody who's telling you that the law is done away with, that your Sunday worship has now replaced the Sabbath, and also those who speak against the lesson that I'm teaching today, which is, it is written, the virgin birth of our Messiah and the seed of David explained. So I'm going to get right into today's show. So I'm sure, Prina, you have your phone muted.
Yes, I do.
Last week, okay. All right. Thank you, sis. Last week's 23rd show was entitled "The Sin That Is Not Unto Death," understanding 1 John 5:16-17. That lesson was basically coming from that particular chapter and verse, where many people try to use 1 John 5:16-17 to say that there are certain sins that do not lead to death, as if the Most High gives a pass for certain sins and not others. And we were able to break down this scriptural verse and bring clarification of what this means. What is the sin that is unto death? If you did not check out last week's lesson, I strongly encourage you to check it out via the Daughter of Yah YouTube channel, Sword of the Spirit audio biblical broadcast, and that was the show number 23. And today's 24th show, and I can't believe that we've done 24 shows. It is an absolute blessing to have that many shows and have that much truth out there for Yah's people, those who may be blind to have open eyes to his truth. But today's show is entitled "The Virgin Birth of Our Messiah and the Seed of David Explained." Without doubt, the virgin birth of our Messiah is not only a topic of much debate, but it's also heavily under attack from many who have been seduced to believe a lie. So this is argued that I hear from those who speak out against the virgin birth of our Messiah. I hear the virgin birth is, that's the Immaculate Conception. Oh, well, what about the seed of David? It said he was going to come through the seed of David according to the flesh. And then I hear Joseph and Mary had sex, and that's why Joseph is his father, and, Joseph they had sex and they weren't supposed to, so he was going to privately put her away because of that. Mary wasn't a virgin, or the Hebrew, she wasn't a betulah, she was a young woman, or an almah. I hear on and on and on. I've heard all of these, reasons for why the virgin birth of our Messiah as written is not good enough. And my whole thing is, why do we have all these attacks on the deity of who Yeshua is and how he came to be? If we can believe that Moses parted the Red Sea, we can believe that man came from the ground, we can believe all of the miracles that were performed, yet we cannot deal with the virgin birth of our Messiah. So today's lesson will not only prove the validity of the virgin birth of our Messiah, Yeshua, but we're going to also today thoroughly explain the seed of David. He was supposed to come through the seed of David according to the flesh. This is what they say. Yes, you are absolutely right. And we're going to prove that anyone that is rejecting the validity of the Mashiach and the way that he came, you can, and the whole totality of who he is and how he came to be, you do not have the testimony of the Mashiach. And that is needed for salvation. You have to believe all of who he said he was, because it is written. So 2 hours before I began this show, Yah gave me confirmation. And this confirmation that he gave me was a reminder of something that he gave me 3 years ago concerning the false teachings that were going out about not only the Sabbath day, but also about the virgin birth of our Messiah. And Philippians 4:1 was what he gave me this morning, and I read it, and it says, "So as my brethren, dearly beloved, long for my crown, my joy and crown. In this manner," he says, "so stand firm in our master, my beloved." He said to stand firm. And as I read that, we know that the Spirit is life. We know that his word is spirit and it is life. I mean, it is the living water. It is the living word. It is Yeshua himself. He is the word. And those words literally jumped off the page as I read them this morning. He said to stand firm in our master, Yeshua. Stand firm in him. Stand firm in him. And, when 3 years ago, when I started hearing all these strange doctrines and false lies being taught about our Messiah, I cringed because I couldn't believe that there were so many Hebrew Israelites who claimed that they were walking in the truth, but I couldn't believe that there were so many Hebrew Israelites, and even now, that are teaching against the virgin birth. And so I was so grieved, and I went at that time 3 years ago, and I was going back and forth battling via the scriptures concerning our Messiah, trying to defend the faith. And finally, Yah intervened because they weren't hearing me. It didn't matter how much scripture I gave them, how many precepts I gave them, they rejected it all. And finally, Yah intervened, and he gave me these following scriptures. But the strange thing is, these scriptures that were given to me, this person that I was battling back and forth with is a very well-known Hebrew Israelite teacher who has a blog talk radio show, and I won't say the name of this person. I won't even give you the person, whether it was a male or female, but this person is a very well-known Hebrew Israelite teacher, has a blog talk show, and I was going back and forth. This person did a radio show based off of me battling with them. They did 3 shows back to back. The one thing this person did say, this person did not disrespect me, but the one thing this person did say, this person came with the scriptures, and covered every angle, did not miss a beat, and said this person, you can tell this was a learned person, because normally this Hebrew Israelite teacher goes after anybody who comes after this person. I'm keeping it this way because I don't want to give any clue whether it was a male or female. But they knew when I came that they weren't dealing with just somebody just was just regular that didn't know the word. They knew that they were dealing with somebody that operated out of the word. They came at me a little bit differently than they normally do when they cut other people up. But they weren't trying to hear it. So the Most High finally intervened, and this Hebrew Israelite blog talk teacher gave me, and I guess this person was calling themselves giving me scriptures. I thought that they were enlightening me, but really what it was, and I doubt very seriously that these 4 scriptures that I'm getting ready to read, I doubt very seriously if they even read them themselves, because I think if they would have read them, they probably wouldn't have given it. But it was given to me through them. And this person said, the Most High gave me these scriptures to give to you. And I'm going to read the scriptures off that was given to me in their exact order. And then when I went back and read them, I was almost in tears because it was a message to me from Yah. I was given Colossians 4, and I'm saying them in the order that they were given to me, and these were the orders in which they were read. It was Colossians 4 and 7, Colossians 2 and 6, Acts 5, 38 and 39, Acts 2 and 28, and Philippians 4 and 1, and then verses 6 through 9. Yah, this is Yah's message to me about listening to false prophets, and these were the scriptures as I just read them in their order, their sequential order. This was the message, and mine is paraphrased with the scriptures in it. When I read all these scriptures, this was the message. Yah said this: take heed to the ministry you received in Yeshua. Just as you accepted Yeshua, so must you be led by him. Get away from these men, for I have revealed the road of life to you. What things you have learned, received, heard, and saw in me, you continue practicing those things, and my peace will be with you. That is exactly, when you put all those scriptures together, this is the message that I got. This person, this Hebrew Israelite blog talk teacher that gave me these scriptures, I know they didn't read it, and I do believe that the Most High gave it to them to give to me. I don't think they actually read it. But when I read it, Yah was talking to me, and those words were jumping off the page. He was telling me, look, that which you received from me, what you have received in who Yeshua is, just as you accepted Yeshua, so must you be led by him. Get away from these men, because I've already revealed the road of life to you. Stop arguing with them. Stop throwing your pearls before swine. He said, I've already revealed the road of life to you. He said, the things that you have learned, you received, you've heard, and that you have saw in me, practice those things. Continue practicing those things. Continue walking in that way. He says, and my peace will continue with you. So this is the reason why I am doing this lesson today, because this morning the Most High gave me confirmation. He says, stand firm in our Master. Stand firm in him. So I come before you today with the authority given to me in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach to preach and to bear the testimony of he that walked the earth. And let anyone who teaches any other doctrine be accursed if you teach anything that is outside of this word. Those of you who are out there currently now teaching against the virgin birth of our Mashiach, I'm coming to warn you with the authority of my Father behind me that your salvation is in danger. You are in danger of blaspheming against the set-apart spirit of the Most High Yah, which is the unforgivable sin. So I'm talking to you, if you're out there, if you're someone who has been led astray and you believe that the virgin birth added as it is written is not true, and I'm going to break it down today. that there will be no more questions. I'm not going to leave any stone unturned when I'm done with this lesson today, because my Father has given me the authority to bring this forth, and he's given me confirmation. So if you do not repent after this lesson, my hands are clean. The blood is not going to be on my hands. Many of you are new, and you need to sit down and listen. You need to learn how to study. You need to learn how to line up precepts. Because many of you are listening to YouTube. You just came into this truth. You just learned that you're Israel. And I understand the zeal, but a lot of it is not according to knowledge. Some of you need to stay off of YouTube and learn it from all these YouTube teachers and all these Hebrew Israelite camps, because they're teaching a lot of mistruth. They're going around telling you to hate women, hate the white man, okay, that only Hebrew Israelites are going to be saved. They're telling you that the virgin birth is the Immaculate Conception, and Joseph is his father. Now, those are all false teachings. They're telling you that a woman can't teach. That's another lie. They're telling you that it's okay to be in multiple marriages. If you listen to the show about that, the Damascus document, the priest of Zadok, that is not so. It was not his. Yes, he had laws for it, but that was not in his plan. That was in the beginning. It was not so. It is fornication when you're doing that. So if you did not check out that show, you need to go back. Many of you are being led astray. So I'm going to go ahead with this lesson. I'm going to start with giving you the definition of what a precept is. A precept is a command or instruction that governs the way that you think and the way that you behave. Okay. Proverbs 4:7 said wisdom is the principal thing. It's the first thing. So therefore get wisdom. And while you're getting wisdom, make sure that you get understanding, which is knowledge. What is knowledge? Understanding who Yah is. Proverbs 9 and 10. Understanding knowledge of who Yah is understanding. If you don't know who Yah is, then you have no understanding. Proverbs 3:5 and 6 says, trust in the Most High with all thine heart and lean not on your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge him and he will direct your path. What does it mean to acknowledge? To acknowledge means to accept, to believe, and to defend. Colossians 4:17, it says, take heed to the ministry which you have received in our Master, and that you fulfill it. Meaning to fulfill means to do, to uphold, to enforce it. That means you uphold it. And that's what I come to do with today's lesson. Colossians 2 and 6, it says, therefore, just as you accepted the Mashiach Yeshua, our Master, so must you be led by him. 1 Corinthians 3:10 and 11, it says, according to the grace of Yah, which is given unto me as a wise master builder. He says, I have laid the foundation, and another will continue to build thereon. He says, but let every man take heed how he builds thereon. Take heed. To build means to establish, to set up, to initiate. So he laid the foundation for us. When he came, and he came in the flesh, and he walked upon the earth, he laid the foundation. So he says, therefore, let every man take heed on how you build. How are you building upon the foundation that the Mashiach left for us? What are you setting up? What are you initiating? What doctrine and teachings are you putting out there? Are you continuing to build upon what he has already put out there, or are you speaking against it? 1 Peter 5 and 8 reads, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. 2 Timothy 2 and 15 says to study, to show yourself approved unto Yah, a workman needeth not being ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. This is where many of our brethren fall off. We go and listen to the YouTube teachers, a lot of these Hebrew Israelite camps, and then we think we know something, and then next thing you know, we're going out here teaching against the Mashiach. So let's start with this Immaculate Conception lie, okay? Satan has greatly deceived many into believing that the virgin birth of our Messiah is synonymous or is the same thing as this erroneous Catholic doctrine, the Immaculate Conception. So what is the Immaculate Conception? Because many of our brethren are using this to explain away the virgin birth of our Messiah, and they're in danger of losing their salvation. And I'm going to say this, and listen very clearly. The Immaculate Conception has nothing to do with the virgin birth of our Messiah. It has to do with the sinless conception, supposedly, of Mary. This is a false Catholic doctrine, which basically states that although Mary was born in a normal manner, she was born free from original sin. Now, we all know from Scripture that this totally contradicts the fact that even Mary herself admitted that she needed a Savior in Luke chapter 1, verses 46 and 47. And furthermore, in Luke chapter 2, went to take a sacrifice, a sin offering to the temple. This Roman Catholic doctrine, the Immaculate Conception, teaches of a perpetual virginity that Mary so-called had, meaning that she lived, she gave birth to our Master and our Messiah, Yeshua, and then even after giving birth to him, she continued to remain to be a virgin throughout her entire life. Now, we know, according to Scripture, that is not true because she knew Joseph, meaning she had sexual intercourse with Joseph after giving birth to our Master and our Messiah, Yeshua. So today we're going to allow the Scriptures to prove these liars false, because we know that the word says that no lie can stand against the truth. So, points that we need to consider. 1 Peter chapter 2, verses 21 and 22, and also 1 John 3 and 5. Both of these two chapters tell us that our Hebrew Messiah was sinless and that in him was found no sin. 1 Peter 2, verses 21 through 22 reads, because Messiah also suffered for us, leaving us an example that you should follow his steps, who did no sin. So he did not sin, according to 1 Peter 2, verses 21 through 22. And it also says that he left us an example when he came here that we should follow it. 1 John 3 and 5 says that he was manifested to take away our sins, and that in him is no sin. So we know for a fact that no sin. But let's see. Romans 5 and 12 tells us, even as sin entered the world through one man, and death through sin, so all death passed to all men, in as so much as all have sinned. So through Adam in Genesis chapter 3, because of the sin that happened in the garden, sin passed unto all men. Okay, but Satan was not going to allow the deceitful and crafty works of Satan to prevail. So he had a plan set in place to deliver mankind from the curse of sin and death, and to also redeem the chosen ones who would be mankind back to himself. So when we read Genesis 3, chapter 16 through 19, it tells us of the gift that of Yah, that grace was going to be given to us, and the gift of Yah's grace was greater than the effect of the offense of Adam. So praise Yah that he had grace on us, and that it was his love for us was greater than the offense that Adam had. Because of Adam's transgression, condemnation passed to all men. Okay, so we know that his only begotten son was born of a virgin, and that his set-apart spirit did the victory of everlasting life. And Genesis 3 and 15 not only tells of the prophecy of our coming King and our Messiah, but also tells of how the Most High planned on defeating Satan's plan to corrupt the seed line, and then also being able to defeat death So reading Genesis 3 and 15, it says, and I will put enmity. Enmity is mutual hatred and hostility. So he says, I will put enmity between your seed, he's speaking of Satan, and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise her heel. So the woman, if anyone does not know, is referred to the children of Israel. Okay? Genesis 3:15 is a future prophecy about the warfare that was going to happen between two seeds, one being the seed of the serpent, who's going to be at war with the seed of the woman. Even unto this day, Yeshua is the righteous one who would come through the seed of the woman to defeat death. And Yeshua's heels were bruised when he was nailed to the tree. And Satan knew that our Hebrew Messiah was going to come through the lineage of the woman, meaning the sons of Jacob, a.k.a. the children of Israel. So he tried to have him murdered. In Revelations 12 and 3 and 4, we read, and another sign appeared in heaven. Behold, a great fiery red dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 diadems on his head. His tail drew 1/3 of the stars of heaven and threw them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, who was ready to give birth, to devour her child as soon as it was born. So the dragon, Satan, stood before the woman who was coming from the children of Israel when it was ready to give birth. He was ready to devour the child. Now in the scriptures, the child is capitalized, capital C. This is Yeshua, our Messiah. So he was waiting. So Satan, through Herod, who was an Idumean or Esau, he attempted to kill Yeshua soon after he was born, and it states in Matthew chapter 2. Okay, this is in Matthew chapter 2. Now, we know that his plan failed, okay, because Yeshua was born, and he defeated death when he rose from the dead after 3 days and 3 nights. And this was Satan's first attempt to try to kill and destroy the pure seed line that Yeshua would come through. But he wasn't going to stop there, okay? He wasn't going to stop there. Okay, again, we have learned so far that through Scripture, according to Romans 5 and 12, that because of Adam's transgression, that sin passed on to all men. We also learned that our Hebrew Messiah was sinless and was prophesied in Isaiah chapter 7 and 14 as being born of a virgin, okay? And it tells you that, therefore the Messiah himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. Therefore, anyone that says that he wasn't born of a virgin, which would mean that Mary was a fornicator, because Matthew chapter 1, 18 through 25 states that she didn't know or have sex with Joseph until after Yeshua was born. It also means if anyone says that he wasn't from the earthly sinful, if he was from the earthly sinful flesh of Joseph, who was a man, or if you say that he came from a fleshly man named Joseph and a woman that had sexual intercourse, then you are blaspheming, and you are attributing the power of the set-apart spirit of Yah to something else, or something of that's earthly, to a carnal man. Okay? Because you're saying either that his mother was a fornicator, okay? And we know that according to the Torah, that the lamb had to be without any sacrifice, has to be without spot or blemish. So if his mother was a fornicator, would he have not come to the earth with spot and blemish? If you're saying that because of Adam's transgression, we know that sin passed unto all men. If Joseph, a fleshly, earthly man, in which was born in sin, you're saying that that's his father, then you're saying that he is born from someone that was born into sin, and also a woman that was a fornicator? See, if you do not believe in the virgin birth, then you have no Messiah coming, and that's plain and simple, because no earthly, fleshly man's blood was or ever will be righteous or pure enough to permanently atone for the sin of all mankind. Nothing or no one but the precious blood of Yeshua, our Master, who was born of a virgin and the set-apart Spirit of the Most High could do that. So you either believe what the scriptures say or you don't. But to deny the working power of the Ruach HaKodesh, the set-apart Spirit of the Most High, is not only dangerous, but it's blasphemous. And I'm getting ready to read. He says that it is written that Yeshua was to be born of a virgin. In Isaiah chapter 7 and 14, it says that. In Matthew chapter 1, verses 22 through 23, it says, behold, a virgin shall be with child, and you shall call his name Emmanuel, which is being interpreted as Yah with us. It says that it is written in Luke chapter 1, verses 26 through 31. It says, and in the 6th month, the angel Gabriel was sent from Yah into a city of Galilee named Nazareth to a virgin espoused or engaged to a man whose name was Joseph. The virgin's name was called Mary, and it says, thou shalt conceive in thy womb and bring forth a son, and shall call his name Yeshua. I'm not reading the whole thing because we're going to get off into that later. But it was written that Yeshua was going to be born of a virgin, not someone who was fornicating. Like I've heard a lot of false teachings going around and say, oh, well, Mary and Joseph were having sex and he didn't want to he was embarrassed, and when she got pregnant, and he wanted to put her away privately because he didn't want to embarrass her. The prophecy says it is written that she was going to be a virgin, untouched. It is also written that Yeshua will be heir to King David's throne. In Romans 1 and 3, it says, concerning his son Yeshua HaMashiach, our Master, which was made of the seed of David according to the flesh. Luke chapter 1, 32 and 33, it says, he will be great and will be called the Son of the Most High. The Most High Yah will give him the throne of his father David, and he will reign over Jacob's descendants forever. His kingdom will never end. It is written in 2 Samuel chapter 7, verses 12 and 13. He says, I will set up thy seed after thee, which shall pursue out of thy loins, and I will establish his kingdom. He shall build an house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. It is written in Isaiah 9 and 7. Of the increase of Yeshua's government and peace, there shall be no end upon the throne of David. I'm going on and on with scriptures that's stating that he, meaning Yeshua, will be heir to King David's throne, and that he will also be born of a virgin. Now, Yah had a conditional promise to David's descendants. So reading Psalms chapter 132, verses 11 and 12, it reads, Yah has sworn to David in truth. He will not turn from it. I will set one of the fruit of your body on the throne for you. Now here is the condition. If your sons will keep my covenant, a covenant is an agreement. Yah said, if your sons will keep my covenant and my testimonies, which I teach them, their sons shall also sit on the throne for you forever. So he said that his sons, David's sons, will sit on the throne forever, but only if they keep the covenant and his testimonies. 1 Kings, if you have your Bible, you can read along with me. 1 Kings chapter 9, verses 1 through 7. And this is going to get good, folks. It reads, and it came to pass, when Solomon had finished the building of the house of the Most High in the king's house, and all Solomon's desires, which he was pleased to do, that the Most High appeared to Solomon the second time as he had appeared to him at Gibeon. And the Most High said unto him, I have heard your prayers and your supplications that you have made before me. I have hallowed this house which you have made, to put my name there forever, and my eyes and my heart shall be there perpetually. Verse 4. And if, there we see that conditional word again, if you will walk before me as David your father walked, in the integrity of heart and in uprightness, to do according to all that I have commanded thee, and will keep my statutes and my judgments. Okay, so he says, if you will walk in the integrity that your father David did, he's talking to Solomon, okay, because Solomon is David's son. He said, if you will walk the same way your father David did and do all that I command you and will keep my statutes and judgments, in verse 5, he says, I will establish the throne of my kingdom upon Israel forever, as I promised to David your father, saying, there shall not fail you a man upon the throne of Israel. Verse 6. But if you at all turn from following me, so here he has it now. He said, if you turn away from following me, he says, you and your children. He says, you or your children. He says, and will not keep my commandments and my statutes. Okay, the statute is a memorial, those things he tell you to remember. He says, if you or your children turn away from following me and do not keep my commandments and my statutes, which I set before you, but go and serve other gods and worship them. In verse 7, Yah says, then I will cut off Israel out of the land which I have given them, and this house which I have hallowed or set apart for my name, and will I cast out of my sight. And Israel shall be a proverb and a byword among all people, which we are right now. So we see here he gives conditions to David's descendants as far as them being able to rule on the throne. 1 Chronicles 28, verses 4 through 10. 1 Chronicles chapter 28, 4 through 10 reads, howbeit the Most High of Israel chose me before all the house of my father to be king over Israel forever, for he hath chosen Judah to be the ruler, and of the house of Judah, the house of my father. And among the sons of my father, he liked me to make me king over all Israel, and of all my sons. For the Most High hath given me my sons. He hath chosen Solomon, my son, to sit upon the throne of the kingdom of the Most High over Israel. Verse 6. And he said unto me, Solomon, your son, he shall build my house and my court, for I have chosen him to be my son, and I will be his father. Moreover, I will establish his kingdom forever. Here's the key word. If. I will establish his kingdom forever. If he be constant to do my commandments and my judgments as at this day. Verse 8. Now therefore in the sight of all Israel, the congregation of the Most High, and in the audience of our Yah, keep and seek for all the commandments of the Most High your Yah, and you may possess this good land and leave it for an inheritance for your children forever. And you, Solomon, my son, know that the Most High of your father shall serve him with a perfect heart and with a willing mind. For the Most High searches all hearts and understandeth all the imaginations of the thoughts. If thou seek him, he will be found of thee. But if, there we go again, if you forsake him, he will cast you off forever. So he's giving a warning right now, that the Most High Yah has chosen you, Solomon. He's chosen you, but you have to be constant. You have to be constant to do his commandments, to keep his commandments and his judgments. And you must serve him, he says in verse 9, with a perfect heart and a willing mind. And because the Most High searches the heart, he understands the imaginations of your thoughts. He says if you seek him, he will be found of you. He says, but if you forsake him, he will cast you off forever. He says in verse 10, take heed, meaning listen, for the Most High has chosen you to build a house for the sanctuary, so be strong and do it. So with that being said, our Hebrew Messiah had, according to what we have read, what is written, our Hebrew Messiah had to be a direct descendant of David to become an heir to the throne. However, if you reread Psalms 132, 11 and 12, and 1 Kings 9, 1 through 7, as we just did, you would see that there were specific provisions and stipulations. David's sons had to keep the covenants and the testimonies of the Most High Yah. So now we're getting ready to read about Solomon's spiritual downfall. Now, anyone who knows any part of the scriptures fully knows that the children of Israel, a.k.a. the sons of Jacob, continue to break the covenant of the Most High over and over and over again. And let's not forget Solomon. Solomon, he was one of the wisest men on the planet. But he also broke the covenant of Yah when he went after and served other gods, other strange women that he was with. See, he was told directly by Yah in 1 Kings 9, 1-7, that he would be given the throne to reign over the kingdom and the children of Israel forever. But Yah said if he kept the ways of the Most High like his father David did. Unfortunately, we're getting ready to read it. Solomon, he forsook Yah and he broke the covenant. When Solomon became old in his age, he turned away from the Most High Yah of his fathers and he turned towards the pagan gods and the goddesses of the many wives. You see, his wives, he had many wives and concubines because they turned their hearts they turned his heart away from the Most High. And that's the reason why there's a law for kings that if you were going to be a king, you must not multiply wives because nothing good came from it. He even made sacrifices and burnt incense offerings to them. So we're going to read about Solomon. So if you have your Bibles, if you can quickly turn to 1 Kings chapter 11, verses 1-10, because we're going to read about the details of Solomon's spiritual downfall. And you're going to see through this, and I want you guys to stay with me because this is not the most entertaining part that I'm reading or presenting to you right now, but this foundation, and I'm a teacher that starts and lay the foundation. Before I really get into the meat of this, I need to lay the foundation because I need to leave no stone unturned. I don't want anybody coming back later on and saying, oh, but what about this? Or what about this? Or what about this? I'm going to cover it all today. But this foundation is so pivotal for you understanding how there's no way that Joseph could have been the father. I'm going to break it all down, but just bear with me today. Let's give y'all his honor due on his set-apart day and take the time to learn to be patient and to study to truly show ourselves approved, to get full understanding, because our people are so quick, like fast food. We want it fast, and we don't ever have the time to just sit down and give y'all time and just study. Just bear with me today, folks. That's all I'm asking. So 1 Kings chapter 11, verses 1-10 read, but King Solomon loved many strange women together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians, Hittites, of the nations concerning which the Most High said unto the children of Israel, you shall not go in to them, neither shall they come in unto you, for surely they will turn away your heart after their God. Solomon cleaved unto these women in love, and he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines. And a concubine is a wife of a different nation. That's not a Hebrew Israelite. And his wives turned away his heart. I'm going to read it again. And his wives turned away his heart. Verse 4, for it came to pass when Solomon was old that his wife turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with the Most High his father, as was the heart of David his father. So we see here already that Solomon's wives turned his heart away from the Most High. It says that his heart was not perfect with the Most High as it was with his father David. Verse 5, for Solomon went after Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Zidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. Verse 6, and Solomon did evil in the sight of the Most High, and went not fully after the Most High as his father David did. Then did Solomon build a high place. So now Solomon don't build a high place for Shema, the abomination of Moab in the hill that is before Jerusalem, and for Molech, the abomination of the children of Ammon. Verse 8. And likewise did he for all his strange wives, which burnt incense and sacrificed unto their gods. So we see here that Solomon has joined in with his wives to sacrifice to the gods of the Moab and to Molech and to the abomination of Ammon. This was a command that the Most High had told. This was a condition, and he said, don't forsake him and go after and serve other gods. And we see that Solomon is doing that because he says, I'm going to cut you off, that no one of your seed is going to be serving on the throne if you do this, you or your children, if you turn away. Verse 9, and the Most High was angry with Solomon because his heart was turned from the Most High Yah of Israel, which had appeared unto him twice, and had commanded him concerning this thing that he should not go after other gods, but he kept not that which the Most High commanded him. So that left Solomon out. Okay, so Solomon is out from ruling on the throne because he went after other gods, the gods of the wives that he went into. So who's left? Okay, because Yah promised David that he would have an heir that will come from his loins to rule on the throne forever. So therefore, let's visit the scriptures. We're going to visit the scriptures to see how this all unfolded. First Chronicles chapter 28, 4 through 10 tells us that the Messiah had to come from the direct descendant of King David. So with that being said, we're going to go back to the beginning of this journey to see if David's sons kept the Most High's covenant, which included keeping his commandments and testimonies. So David had a son named Solomon, and Solomon had a son named Rehoboam, and you can find that in First Chronicles 3 and 10. Rehoboam was 41 years old when he became a king, and he reigned 17 years in Jerusalem. And Rehoboam became strong, and for 3 years he walked in the upright ways of his grandfather, King David, and his father, Solomon. However, Rehoboam, like his father, loved many women, and he had 18 wives. He had 60 concubines, 28 sons, and 60 daughters. Okay, he loved Makach more than the rest, whose mother was Abijah. Now, unfortunately, as soon as the kingdom was established, he abandoned the covenant of Most High, and he didn't keep his ways either. So we see again, Rehoboam didn't keep his ways either. Okay? He began worshiping the god of his wife, Asherah, who was an Asherah, who is a star, who's the same thing as Easter. Okay? He began worshiping the god of his wife, who was an a star worshiper. He built many idolatrous altars and high places, had religious rituals, and he completely ignored the Most High Yah's commandments that he had against doing such things. So although he had humbled himself, in the end, Rehoboam failed because he did not follow the Most High with all of his heart. So we need to realize, it's important for us to realize that Solomon, he wasn't the only descendant of David who failed to meet the provisions and the stipulations set forth by the Most High. So out of the 20 kings of Judah, most did evil in the sight of the Most High. In fact, 7 of the last 9 kings of Judah were evil kings. Those last 7 evil kings was, and you can find this in 2 Kings chapter 16, but you see Ahaz, Manasseh, Ammon, Joahaz, Joachim, and I'm pronouncing these the best way I can, Jeconiah, or some of you may see him as Coniah, Coniah, Zedekiah. Zedekiah was the last and final king of Judah. So that leaves us skipping forward to 1 Chronicles chapter 3 and 15, which reveals the last 2 kings that will be responsible for getting our Messiah here. through the loins of David, because it was prophesied. The Most High promised David that he would have an heir that would come through his loins. So the last two kings that were left that could be responsible for getting our Messiah would be Jeconiah and Zedekiah. Jeconiah, or some Bibles may be Coniah, which is spelled Jeconiah, or Coniah, Conia. Jeconiah and Zedekiah. So we're going to shortly reveal why they will be the last two that will be responsible for getting it right in order to get our Messiah here through the bloodline of David, as Yah promised. But we can't forget, and let us keep in the forefront the provisions and the stipulations that the Most High gave. David's sons had to keep the covenant, and so far, no one from Solomon to Rehoboam were able to do that. So now we're going to read and see if Jeconiah and Zedekiah follow through and were able to keep the ways of the Most High. So, King Jeconiah, we're going to look at this, the curse on Jeconiah's descendants. So, Jeconiah, also known as Coniah, was next to the last king of Judah who reigned before Zedekiah. Now, according to Scripture, he was 18 years old when he began to reign. He reigned for a total of 3 months. And according to 2 Kings chapter 24, verses 8 and 9, he did that also, which was evil in the sight of the Most High. In fact, the Most High's word regarding his descendants having even greater significance to understanding why the virgin birth of our Hebrew Messiah was necessary. Jeremiah chapter 22, verses 24 through 30, the Most High pronounced a curse. Listen very carefully. He pronounced a curse on Jeconiah and his descendants, declaring them to be ineligible to sit upon the throne of David as the king of Israel. So we're going to read that now. If you can quickly go to Jeremiah chapter 22, and we're going to read verses 24 through 30. Jeremiah chapter 22, verses 24 through 30. In this chapter verses that we're going to read, as I said, we're going to see that the Most High pronounced a curse on Jeconiah and all of his descendants. He declared anyone that came from him to be ineligible to sit upon the throne of David as the king of Israel. Okay? All right. So, Jeremiah chapter 22, beginning with verse 24 reads, "As I live, says the Most High, through Coniah, or Jeconiah, the son of Joachim, king of Judah, were the signet upon my right hand, yet would I pluck thee thence. And I will give thee into the hand of them that seek your life, and into the hand of them whose face you fear, even into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, into the hand of the Chaldeans. And I will cast you out." See this. He said if you forsook him and did not keep his covenants and his testimony, he said that he was going to forsake him. And now the Most High is telling, remember, Jeconiah or Coniah is second to the last of the kings that will be responsible for getting our Messiah here. Okay? He says, verse 26, he said, "I will cast you out and your mother that bare you into another country where you were not born, and you shall die." He said, "And there you shall die." Verse 27, "But the land whereunto they desire to return, thither shall they not return. Is this man Coniah a despised, broken idol?" So he's asking the question, is this man Coniah or Jeconiah, isn't he a despised, broken idol? Is he a vessel wherein no pleasure, where there is no pleasure? So y'all is saying he is a vessel where there is no pleasure. I have no pleasure in this man. He says, "Wherefore are they cast out, he and his seed, and are cast into a land where they know not? O earth, 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 hear the word of the Most High." Verse 30, "Thus says the Most High." Now here it is. Here is the curse that is being pronounced on Jeconiah or Coniah and his descendants. Verse 30, thus says the Most High, write you this man childless. He says, a man that shall not prosper in his days, for no man of his seed shall prosper. He says, no man of his seed shall prosper, sitting upon the throne of David and ruling any more in Judah. So it is absolutely critical for you to understand the importance of this curse that was put down on Jeconiah or Coniah and his descendants when you consider the necessity of the virgin birth. First of all, verse 28 states, he says, wherefore are they cast out? He says he and his seed. This illustrates that the Most High acknowledged the fact that Jeconiah would have descendants, which he did. Okay? But he said, according to verse 29, Yah made a triple declaration to the world when he says, earth, 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 hear the word of the Most High. And then in verse 30, he provides the greatest significance that no man of Jeconiah's seed would prosper. He said not only will they not prosper, he says, but none of his seed will sit upon the throne of David and rule anymore in Judah. So this passage testifies that although Jeconiah will have descendants, Yah declared that the entire line will be ineligible to sit upon the throne of David. To be ineligible means you don't qualify. You no longer qualify. So remember, Jeconiah and Zedekiah were the last two kings. So we already know Jeconiah is out, and all his descendants that will come after him, they're gone. There's no hope for them. So we got one king left in Judah that's able to do this, to get our Messiah here. So let's see if the last king of Judah, King Zedekiah and his sons, let's see if they were able to do it. Now, the scriptures reveal that Zedekiah took Jeconiah's place on the throne, and he was the last and final king of Judah, reigning for 11 years. Now, when he rebelled against the king of Babylon, the Chaldean armies pursued him and they overtook him. And when you read Jeremiah chapter 52, it actually records that Zedekiah in verses 8 through 10, it records that Zedekiah and his sons fall shortly after they were captured in the plains of Jericho. So let's read Jeremiah chapter 52, verses 8 through 10. Jeremiah chapter 52, verses 8 through 10. But the army of the Chaldeans pursued after the king and overtook Zedekiah in the plains of Jericho, and all his armies were scattered from him. Then they took the king and carried him up unto the king of Babylon to Riblah in the land of Hamath, where he gave judgment unto him. Verse 10. And the king of Babylon slew the sons of Zedekiah before his eyes. So the king of Babylon slew, meaning he killed the sons of Zedekiah before his eyes. It says he slew also all the princes of Judah in Riblah. So in Jeremiah 52, verses 8 through 10, all of Zedekiah's sons were killed at Riblah. Therefore, Zedekiah's genealogical line was completely terminated since he had no surviving heir to the throne. Additionally, again, let us not forget that Jeremiah chapter 22, verses 24 through 30, that the Most High had cursed Jeconiah's descendants and declared that none of his seed will be eligible to claim the throne of David. And as a result of this curse, the Most High himself terminated his genealogical line. So since these are the facts, who can be the progenitor of the Messiah? At this point, did Israel have an earthly candidate who could qualify? According to the scriptures, no. Therefore, anyone who's teaching that our Hebrew Messiah came from the fleshly seed of Joseph, an earthly carnal man, are causing all who believe this lie to follow a Messiah that is cursed, doomed to fail, and will not prosper, because the entire line of Judah who was given, and Judah was the tribe that was given the charge to rule, but anyone who's believing this, you're following a Messiah that is cursed, doomed to fail, and will never prosper, okay? Because the entire line of Judah had been either terminated or declared ineligible by the Most High. In fact, if you're continuing to ignore what has been stated in Scripture, if you're continuing to teach that our Messiah had a fleshly father, Joseph, who was sinless, or who was not sinless, because Joseph was a man, and if you're saying he was not born of a virgin and the set-apart spirit of the Most High, then where's your Messiah at then? Because you don't have a Messiah coming. Where is he? The last chance that you all had at having a Messiah ended as Zedekiah, and all his lineage stopped because they were all terminated. So my thing is this: I do not serve a Messiah that is doomed to fail. My Messiah's father is the Most High Yah, is the Most High Yah. So you're either going to believe what the Word says or you don't. Please do not allow misunderstanding or your misunderstanding of the Immaculate Conception to get you twisted and deceived into believing that the virgin birth of our Messiah is the same. It's not. As we have just previously read, neither Zechariah nor Zedekiah was qualified to get our Hebrew Messiah here. With Zechariah and his seed being prohibited, cursed, and cut off, and Zedekiah and his offspring being killed, no one was left from the line to fulfill the promises of the Most High. The curse of Zechariah's lineage ended with him, and Zedekiah's entire seed were killed off. Therefore, with Zechariah and Zedekiah being the last shot for getting our Hebrew Messiah here, the Messiah's virgin birth was not only a miracle, but it was also an absolute necessity. And due to the disobedience of the last two kings of Judah, Zechariah and Zedekiah, it became scripturally impossible for Yeshua to be legitimate, or for our Messiah to legitimately qualify to be the Messiah if he came through that lineage. Again, I repeat, there was no way that our Messiah could have had an earthly father due to the spiritual downfall of Solomon and his descendants. And as a result, the Messiah could only have come from our Heavenly Father. So to my non-Messianic and anti-virgin birth believers, you tell me how the Most High was going to get the Messiah here without a miracle. How was he going to get him here? Yah was not going to allow our Messiah or his Messianic line to continue through Solomon and his descendants in spite of all of their recorded failures. For if he would have, then his word would have been untrue. Therefore, as a result of the failure of Solomon and his heirs, the Most High, he disqualified Judah from claiming the throne of David. The last two kings of Judah, Zechariah and Zedekiah, just proved that. So Yah's unconditional promise to David. Now, in order to show how the virgin birth of the Messiah became necessary, we have to remember the Most High's special relationship with David. David loved Yah so much that he vowed that his seed would endure forever. So according to the Most High, it will be through the loins of David that our Messiah will come. So we already read this earlier in 2 Samuel chapter 7, 12, and 13, Psalms 89, 35 through 36. and Psalms 132 and 11 that the Most High swore. In all three of those verses, the Most High, he said he swore by his set apartness. He said, I swore in truth unto David. He said, I will not lie unto David. His seed will endure forever. He said, I will not turn from what I said. So Yah promised to David he was not going to break it. He swore by his set apartness that he would not turn from it. Yah promised David's descendants. He told them, look here, I made a promise and it's going to happen. He said, but I have a condition for you. His promise was, you must keep my covenant. You must keep my commandments, my statutes, and my judgments. And they did not do that. So let's visit. Now we're getting ready to start getting into the genealogy. Now we have no one else that can get him here. So how is y'all going to be able to keep the promise that he made to David and still at the same time dodge the curse of Zechariah? So we're going to visit, we're going to now go through Joseph's genealogy, who was also a direct descendant of David. If you can go to Matthew chapter 1, and some of this, I'm not going to read all of this. I'm just going to get right to what I need to get to for time's sake. But chapter 1 of the book of Matthew records the genealogy of Joseph, Mary's husband. Joseph was Mary's husband. In Matthew chapter 1, 6 through 16 states that Jesse begat David. King David. That was King David, the one that the Most High made the promise to. Now, I'm not getting ready to read all these names because half of them I can't pronounce anyway, but I'm going to get right to where I need to get. And it tells you who begat who. I mean, he was the father of and the father of. Jesse begat David, the king, and King David begat Solomon. Solomon, you know, was the one that had all the wives and allowed the wives to turn his heart against the Most High. And he was disqualified, and his descendants were disqualified from ruling on the throne. Now, if you go all the way down, it keeps saying who begat who. When you go to verse 11, it says, and Joash begat Jeconiah. Some of you may say Coniah. Jeconiah is also Coniah. Okay, some people might say that's not the same person. It is. It may be spelled off a little bit. My version spells it Jechonis. It's also Jeconiah, Jeconiah, or Coniah, Coniah. But Josiah begot Jeconiah. And it keeps going on from there. Now, you go all the way down to verse 16. It says, Jacob begot Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom was born Yeshua. That's our master, who is called the Mashiach. Okay, so verse 16, it says, Jacob begat Joseph, the husband of Mary. As you can see right here, as we clearly have just read in Matthew chapter 1, Joseph was a direct descendant of the royal line of David through Solomon. He was also a descendant of Jeconiah, as we read in verse what? 11. Now, since Jeremiah chapter 22 and 30 declares that all of Jeconiah's descendants were disqualified from claiming the throne of David as king, therefore, Joseph too will also be disqualified. More importantly, if Yeshua were the biological offspring of Joseph, he would have been declared ineligible to claim the throne of David because he would have fallen under the same curse. So there is absolutely no way that Joseph could have been the biological father of our Messiah, Yeshua, because Joseph is a direct descendant of the royal line of David through Solomon. And also came Jeconiah. He's a direct descendant. So he would have taken part of it. He's part of that curse that would have fallen down if he was the biological father of our Messiah. It is no way. Let's go to Mary's genealogy. Many of you do not know, but the genealogy, Mary is also a direct descendant of David too. The genealogy, if we go to Luke chapter 3, okay, verses 23, the genealogy of Mary is provided through the lineage of Heli, Mary's father. Heli, Heli, that's Mary's father. The genealogy is provided through the mother. Through the father. Her father is Heli. If you go to Luke chapter 3, verses 23, it says, and Yeshua himself began to be about 30 years of age, being, or as was supposed, the son of Joseph. Now, why is it saying as was supposed? Meaning, as they supposed that he was the son. It was letting you know that he was not the biological father, but as supposed, just as if someone married someone, you may have another child, but it may not be your biological child, but you still refer to them as your child. It may be your stepchild, but you may say, Michael as supposed the son of Heli. He was supposed to have been the son of Joseph. Why is that there in Scripture if he was the son? The rest of them say such and such begat this person begat that person. But when it gets here, it says the supposed son, Yeshua was the supposed son of Joseph. He said, which was the son of Heli. Going down to 31, verse 31, it says, which was the son of Maleah, which was the son of Menan, which was the son of Matthew, which was the son of Nathan, who was the son of David. So we see here that Yeshua's mother, Mary, is also, through her father, is a direct descendant of David, but not through Solomon's lineage, which has been declared ineligible and cursed through Jeconiah, but through David's son Nathan, who did not have that curse pronounced on them. The Most High's eternal promise to David was fulfilled through Heli's genealogy, Mary's father. Since he was Mary's father, Joseph was considered to be his son-in-law, and as a result, Mary was a descendant of David, again, but not through David, through Solomon, whose descendants were cursed and cut off. She descended from David through Nathan. So due to the sins of Solomon and his descendants, it's clear that Joseph would have been eliminated from being the biological seed to the Messiah, thus making it very likely that a Messiah came through the seed of the woman. He came through the seed of the woman, Mary, the virgin, through Heli, who is also a direct descendant of David, again, but through Nathan. By now, it should become crystal clear that the Messiah will be both the maternal son of the Most High, the paternal son of the Most High, and the seed of David through Heli, Mary's father. And Luke chapter 1, verses 30 through 35 records the words that the angel said. If you can go to Luke chapter 1, I want everyone to go to Luke chapter 1, and we're going to read verses 30 through 35. Okay. Luke chapter 1, verses 30 through 35. And the angel said unto her, Fear not, Mary, for thou hast found favor with Yah. And behold, thou shalt conceive in your womb and bring forth a son, and shall call his name Yeshua. Verse 32. He shall be great and shall be called the Son of the Highest. And the Most High Yah shall give unto him the throne of his father David. And he shall reign over the house of Jacob forever, and of his kingdom there shall be no end. Then said Mary unto the angel, How shall this be, seeing I know not a man? And the angel answered and said unto her, The set apart spirit shall come upon thee, and the power of the Highest shall overshadow thee. Therefore also that set apart thing which shall be born of you shall be called the Son of the High. We're going to look at that definition of overshadow so that you can know what that really means. So again, we need to answer the question, why the need for two different genealogies? The purpose of Matthew's genealogy was to show why Yeshua could not be king if he were really Joseph's son. And the purpose of Luke's genealogy was to show how Mary, his biological mother, was also of the seed line of David, just like Joseph. Remember, in the Hebrew, it is highly unlikely that the lineage of the woman is listed. You only find that in Esau, okay? However, why is this pattern broken when it comes to our Messiah? Unlike the genealogy of Matthew, Luke begins our Messiah's genealogy with his own time and then goes all the way back into history, back to Adam, and then arriving at the family of David in verses 31 and 32. However, the son of David involved in this genealogy is Solomon in verse 31. Mary, or Miriam, as some like to refer to her, was a direct descendant of the house of David, but unlike Joseph, again, she came from David's son Nathan, not Solomon. Mary was a member of the house of David apart from Jeconiah. Therefore, since Yeshua was Mary's biological son, he too was a member of the house of David apart from Jeconiah. This way, he could fulfill the biblical requirement for kingship. And since Luke's genealogy did not include Jeconiah's line, it begins with the virgin birth of Yeshua and goes all the way back to Adam. Yah had a greater plan, folks, to fulfill his promise to David. Joseph became the kinsman redeemer of Mary, which was all a part of Yah's plan. We read that in Matthew chapter 1:16. The Most High, he found a way to get the Messiah here to be a legal heir to the throne through Joseph, his father-in-law Heli, and at the same time dodged the bullet of the curse of Jeconiah. The Most High resolved the issue by becoming the father of the Messiah himself. He was born of a virgin. Matthew explained that Mary was the child. Matthew explained that Mary was with child of the set-apart spirit of Yah before, and the key word is before Mary and Joseph knew one another. When he says he knew her before they knew, that means before they had sexual intercourse. Okay? Before they had sexual intercourse, she was already with child. And according to Matthew chapter 1, verses 18 through 23, this was the fulfillment of what was prophesied by the prophet Isaiah. So I'm just going to quickly read these. Isaiah 7:14 says, therefore the Most High himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. Matthew 1:22 and 23 reads, behold, a virgin shall be with child and shall bring forth a son. They shall call his name Emmanuel, which being interpreted is Yah with us. Luke chapter 1, verses 26 through 31. Verse 27 reads, to a virgin espoused, this is Mary. The virgin was espoused or engaged. Espoused means engaged to a man whose name was Joseph of the house of David, and the virgin's name was Mary. And the angel came in unto her and said, hail, thou art highly favored. The Most High is with you. Blessed are you among women. And when she saw him, she was troubled at his saying, and cast in her mind what manner of salutation this should be. And the angel said unto her, fear not, Mary, for you have found favor with Yah, and behold, you shall conceive in your womb and bring forth a son, and shall call his name Yeshua. So now we're getting ready to read about the birth of Yeshua. If you can quickly turn to Matthew chapter 1, and we're going to read verses 18 through 25. Matthew chapter 1, verses 18 through 25. Verse 18 And the birth of Yeshua Messiah was this way, for his mother Miriam had been betrothed to Joseph. Remember, to be betrothed or espoused means to be engaged. Okay, they were engaged. In the eyes of the Most High, for those of you who do not know, when you're engaged, that is likened unto marriage. The Most High considers you to be married. When you're engaged, he will refer to you as husband and wife because you're promised already to that other person. So that's why those of you who go out and have what they call these parties, when you go and you have an engagement party, not an engagement party, but I can't think. What is the name of them parties that you go and have? What's the name of that party?
Bachelorette.
Okay, when you have bachelor and bachelorette. My mind went blank. When you have a bachelor and bachelorette party, you go out and have sex with somebody for the last time before, you're already committing adultery. Because a marriage is being betrothed or being espoused is likened unto marriage because you're already promised. You're already off limits. And that's why it has the laws that if someone rapes someone that is betrothed, or have sex with someone, or he calls it adultery because you're already promised. He already looks at you as husband and wife. So let me go back here and I'm going to read it again. Matthew 1, verse 18 reads, and the birth of Yeshua Messiah was this way, for his mother Mary had betrothed to Joseph before the coming of them together. So they were engaged before they came together or had sexual intercourse. And it says, she was found having babe in womb by the set-apart spirit. Okay, so it's saying here, it's letting you know right off the bat, verse 18, that the birth of the Messiah went this way. It's letting you know, don't look, this is the way that the Messiah's birth came about. It is written. She was, before Joseph, she was betrothed, being engaged to Joseph. But before they came together, before they even had sex, she was already found having a baby in her womb by the set-apart spirit. Didn't say anything about Joseph. It lets you know right off the bat, Joseph didn't have nothing to do with it. Before they even came together, she was already with child by the set-apart spirit. Verse 19, but her husband, Joseph, being just. Now notice how it started off and said that they were betrothed, meaning they were engaged, but the Most High is still referring to her as her husband. Her husband, Joseph, being just and not willing to make her a public example, he purposed to divorce her secretly. Okay, so Joseph was getting ready to divorce her. He was getting ready to divorce her because he's like, hey, wait a minute, you pregnant? I know I haven't touched you, so how are you pregnant? So he was getting ready to divorce her. And put it, and do it secretly. It's him being a just man. He didn't want to embarrass her, but he said, I'm going to just do this secretly. I'm going to just divorce her secretly because obviously she don't dip out on me. Verse 20, and as he was thinking about these things, so as he was thinking about putting her away, behold, a cherub of Yah, or an angel of Yah, was sent by him in a dream, saying, Joseph, son of David, do not be afraid to take Mary as your wife, for that in her is generated by the set-apart spirit. Generated means created, that which is fathered, or that which is produced. So the angel came to Joseph and said, look, don't be afraid to take Mary as your wife. He wanted to let her know that which is created in her, or that is fathered in her, or that is produced by her, is by the set-apart spirit. Verse 21, and she will bear a son, and you shall call his name Yeshua, for he shall save his people from his sins. Because Yeshua's name means Yah salvation, or the salvation of Yah. He is the salvation of Yah. Yah speaks all about his salvation all throughout the Torah, the Old Testament, where people say, oh, well, he's not mentioned nowhere in the Old Testament, or I don't even like to call it the Old Testament because it's the original covenant. It's the original covenant, and the New Testament should be referred to as the renewed covenant. But he is spoken about. He says, come see the salvation of Yah. Anytime you start seeing where it's being spoken of the salvation of Yah or Yah's salvation on his right arm, Yeshua is being spoken of. He's all throughout the original covenant. And I'm going to be doing a lesson next week on who is Yeshua next week, where you will fully know him from the original covenant all the way to the new. But it says here that he shall save his people from his sins, verse 22. And all this happened so that might be fulfilled that which was spoken by Yah through the prophet, saying, behold, the virgin will conceive in her womb and will bear a son, and they will call his name Emmanuel, which is interpreted, our Yah is with us. And being aroused from sleep, Joseph did as a cherub or angel of Yah commanded him, and took his wife, and did not, I'm going to read this again, and did not know her until after her son was born, the firstborn, and he called his name Yeshua. So this is the reason why Joseph wanted to privately put her away. He knew that this child was not his biological son, or meaning from his loins. He knew that he hadn't slept with her. He thought he cheated on her. He's like, hey, wait a minute, I'm engaged to you, and you come here with a baby, and I know I haven't laid down and slept with you. So the angel had to come to him and let him know what was going on, but he told him that which is in her womb is by the set-apart spirit. It's fathered by the set-apart spirit. And this is going to be cleared up even further because we're getting ready to get into it now. Let's explain the seed of David. Because people say, oh, well, it said that he was supposed to come through the seed of David according to the flesh. Okay, let's go back to this is going to lead us back to the seed. Many said that he, meaning Yeshua, was prophesied to come through the seed of David. In other words, an earthly seed or man of flesh via sperm. In the Hebrew, the lineage, again, is determined by the father. So this is why many have a problem with the virgin birth of our Messiah. Okay? This is the reason why many have a problem with it. But just as we have just shown you, we just got finished reading the lineage of Mary, which is the seed of the woman through her father Heli, who was a direct descendant of David. This is how it was made possible. But for those of you who are still skeptical, non-believers, let's take a look at the seed of the woman who was prophesied to bring the Messiah through in Genesis 3 and 15. In Genesis chapter 3, verse 15, Yah is telling Satan, he says, I will put enmity between you, Satan, and the woman. Who is the woman? Israel. I'm going to put enmity, meaning I'm going to put mutual hatred between you, Satan, and the woman, and between your seed, Satan, and her seed, the seed of the woman. It shall bruise thy head, and you shall bruise his heel, meaning Yeshua. Now, we see, as in Revelation, also that in Genesis 3, it speaks of the seed of the woman. Now, we all know, because people say, well, it said it was coming through the seed of David, the seed. Does a woman have seed? There's more than one definition for seed. Just as people get confused in the renewed covenant when it speaks of the world. There's more than one definition of the world. This is why you are required to study to show yourself approved. This is why you must line up precept upon precept. Okay? This is why you need to get the Blue Letter Bible, and you need to see the context in which a particular word is being spoken of. World is not just world. When you see Gentiles, there's two different Gentiles that are being spoken of in the renewed covenant. Just as world, it doesn't all mean everyone who was born on the face of the earth. Because the children of Israel are also referred to as the world. But again, I'm not getting ready to get off into that because that's a whole nother lesson. The seed of the woman, we know that a woman seed can mean sperm or sperma, yes. We know that a woman doesn't have a seed, but then why did the Most High Yah tell Satan that I'm going to put enmity between your seed and her seed, the seed of the woman? Because the seed of the woman is who Satan is going to wage war and come down to the earth with great fury against, because he knows his time is short, and he's coming after the seed of the woman, those who keep the commandments and have the testimony of Yeshua. We know it's not talking about the seed of the woman referring to the sperm of a woman. I'm a woman. I don't have sperm in me. So what is this? What's really being spoken of? This is where you got to have discernment, and you need to set up our spirit of Yah for revelation and understanding of what his word is saying. Seed, according to Strong Hebrews 2232, says seed refers to bear, B-E-A-R, meaning to conceive seed. It says to bear or to conceive a seed. Strong Hebrews 2233 says posterity, coming from the posterity of a woman or a child or fruitful. Okay? So the seed of the woman that's being referred to in Genesis 3:15, as well as in Revelation, the seed that Satan is coming after, are the children of Israel. Those children that come from the seed of the woman, that come from the prosperity of the woman, that are the children of the woman, that the woman bared and conceived, not sperm. Concerning his son, Yeshua HaMashiach, our master, which was made of the seed of David according to the flesh. Therefore, the Most High, what did he do? He swore to David that the fruit of your loins, according to the flesh, he would raise up the Messiah to sit on the throne. Strong Hebrews 2232 and 2233, as well as the source, says that seed can be not only just sperm or semen, but it also means offspring. It also means descendant. It also means heir, birth, Genesis, conception, and the root. The seed of the woman that's being referred to in Genesis 3:15 and in Revelation is the offspring, the descendant, and the heir of the woman, the descendants of the woman, through whom the Yeshua will come through. We know her elect descendants, her children, or the conceived children of the woman, according to according to the flesh, are the children of Israel. Mary is a direct descendant and a direct heir or direct offspring of David, who conceived or birthed Yeshua, our Messiah. Who is the dragon wroth with or very angry with in Revelation 12 and 17? It says the dragon was wroth, meaning angry with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed. It's not talking about sperm. It's talking about her descendants, her offspring. That those who keep the commandments of Yah and have the true testimony of Yeshua HaMashiach. We know that a woman does not have sperm, but the seed of the woman from the children of Israel comes from the tribe of Judah, through whom our Messiah will come from. Therefore, the seed of the woman, Israel, did come through the loins or the sperm or the seed of David, but through David's son Nathan, via Mary's lineage, not Solomon, via Joseph's lineage, because his lineage was pronounced accursed and cut off. If we can accept the creation of mankind from dust, if we can accept that a woman came from the rib of a man, if we can accept that Moses split the Red Sea for the children of Israel to pass through, then why can't we accept the virgin birth without sex from the set-apart spirit of the Most High Yah. Is there anything that is too hard or too impossible for our power? It says in Luke 1:37 that nothing shall be impossible with Yah. And even Yeshua said in Mark 9:23, he said, if you are able to believe, he says, all things are possible to the ones believing. To believe means to accept the truth. Luke 1:35 says, the angel said and answered unto her, speaking into Mary. We're talking about Mary. The angel answered and said unto her, the set-apart spirit shall come upon you, and the power of the highest shall overshadow you. Therefore also, that set-apart thing which shall be born of you shall be called the Son of Yah. We're going to find this in a pseudepigrapha, which I'm getting ready to read. The Gospel of Mary in chapter 7 lines up perfectly with this. Another mention where overshadow is in Acts 5:15. It says, it is so much that they brought forth the sick unto the streets and laid them on beds and couches, that at the least the shadow of Peter passing by might overshadow some of them. According to Strong Hebrews 6004, overshadow means to associate. And also in 1982, it means a haze of brilliancy. It means a preternatural influence. It means extraordinary, atypical, miraculous. Thesaurus.com says it means odd, peculiar, strange, supernatural, unearthly. When the angel told Mary that the set-apart spirit is going to come upon you and the power of the highest is going to overshadow you, it also means here in thesaurus.com, it says to veil, to cloud, to command, to dictate, to direct, to influence. It's miraculous. It's peculiar. It's supernatural, and it's unearthly. When you think about the antonym, which is the opposite of that will be usual, regular, something that's common, something that's normal, something that's natural, something that happens all the time. I'm going to read out of pseudepigrapha, the Gospel of Mary, chapter 7, verses 8 through 21. I'm going to read most of it. You're going to see that this is a precept and it coincides exactly what the angel said. Verse 8 reads, it says, fear not, Mary, as though I intended anything inconsistent with your chastity in this salutation. It says, for you have found favor with the Most High, because you made virginity your choice. Verse 10, therefore, while you are a virgin, you shall conceive without sin and bring forth a son. See, the angel told her in the Gospel of Mary, he says, while you are still yet a virgin, you're going to conceive without sin and bring forth a child. Verse 11, he shall be great, because he shall reign from sea to sea and from river to the ends of the earth. And he shall be called the Son of the Highest, for he is born in a mean state on earth, and reigns as an exalted one in heaven. And the Most High shall give him the throne of his father David, and he shall reign over the house of Jacob forever, and of his kingdom there shall be no end. Verse 14, for he is the King of kings, Master of masters, his throne is forever and ever. To this discourse of the angel, the virgin replied not as though she were unbelieving, but willing to know the manner of it. Verse 16, she said, how can this be? Now, this is Mary saying, how can this be? How can I be a virgin and conceive a child? So she's asking in verse 16, just as she asked in Matthew chapter 1, she said, how can this be? For seeing according to my vows, I have never known any man. How can I bear a child without the addition of a man's seed? So we see that the Gospel of Mary is in the pseudepigrapha is going a little bit further. She's saying the same thing that is being recorded of in the renewed covenant in Matthew chapter 1, but she's saying, how is it that I'm going to be able to conceive a child without the additions of a man's seed? Verse 17, to this the angel replied and said, think not, Mary, that you shall conceive in the ordinary way. So we just got finished running off what it means to overshadow. It was something supernatural, something miraculous, something that was commanded, dictated by the Most High himself. He says, think not, Mary, that you shall conceive in the ordinary way. This is not going to be the regular, ordinary way the two men lay down and eat and lust and have sex. He said, it is not, you are not going to conceive in the ordinary way. Verse 18, he says, for without lying with a man, I'm going to read that again, for without lying with a man, while yet still a virgin, you shall conceive. While a virgin, you will bring forth, and while a virgin shall give suck. Verse 19, for the set-apart spirit shall come upon you, and the power of the Most High shall overshadow you. Now, is this not what we just got finished reading in Matthew chapter 1? When the angel came to her, we reading the same thing. This is why they removed the Apocrypha and the pseudepigrapha, because these books tell us too much about not only who we are, but where we've been, how we got here. They want to keep us in the dark. It's saying the same thing. Verse 19, it says, for the set-apart spirit shall come upon you, and the power of the Most High shall overshadow you. And this is, now listen to this part. The power of the Most High shall overshadow you without any of the heats of lust. I'm going to read that again. For the and this is the Gospel of Mary, chapter 7, and I'm reading verse 19. It says, for the set-apart spirit shall come upon you, and the power of the Most High shall overshadow you without any of the heats of lust. Verse 20, so that which shall be born of you shall be only set apart, because it only is conceived without sin, and being born shall be called the Son of Yah. Then Mary stretched forth her hands and lifted her eyes to heaven and said, behold, the handmaiden of the Most High, let it be unto me according to thy word. So we see right here that the angel told Mary that you're not going to conceive and give birth the regular, ordinary way that is conceived in heats and lust. It was made clear that it was not some type of sexual thing. I've heard all kind of perverse comments about, oh, well, so you trying to say Yah came down from heaven and he had sex in the ordinary way? It is saying right here that it was not going to be done that way. Like I said, if you can believe that man came from the ground and that Moses split the sea, the woman came from, you can believe all of these stories, but you can't believe that the Most High can bring someone into the world without heat or lust. How did we all get here? How did Adam get here? Are you saying that the Most High was in heat and lust when he brought Adam from the ground? The Gospel of Mary, chapter 8, continuing, verses 1 through 12, is going to give the same account when the angel came to Mary. Now we're going to read in the Gospel of Mary, chapter 8, how the angel came to Joseph, just as he did in Matthew 1, chapter verses 18 through 25. So we see now the Gospel of Mary, chapter 8, verses 1 through 12 is the precept to Matthew, chapter 1, verses 18 through 25. Now we're going to read where that, just as the angel came to Joseph in the renewed covenant in Matthew 1, now we're going to read in the Gospel of Mary what took place when the angel came to Joseph. Remember when we read earlier, Joseph was getting ready to put Mary away because he thought she dipped out on him. So let's read. Gospel of Mary, chapter 8, verses 1. Joseph therefore went from Judea to Galilee with intentions to marry the virgin who he was betrothed to him. Verse 2. For it was now nearly 3 months since she was betrothed to him. At length, it plainly appeared that she was with child and could not be hid from Joseph. So it's saying, okay, they were betrothed or engaged to one another, Mary and Joseph, for 3 months, and it had become plainly clear that Mary was with child, and she couldn't hide it from Joseph, okay? In verse 4, it says, verse 4, for going to the virgin in a free manner, as one espoused or engaged, and taking familiar with her, he perceived her to be with child, and thereupon began to be uneasy and doubtful, not knowing what course would be the best to take. So now he's like, okay, now I see that you're pregnant. I didn't do this. So he's doubtful as far as what's the best route to take because he's perceiving that she's with child. So in verse 6, it says, for being a just man, he was not willing to expose her nor defame her by the suspicion of being a whore. So here we see now Joseph didn't want everybody to think that she was a whore, since he was a pious man. So in verse 7, it says, he purposed, therefore, privately to put an end to their agreement as privately to put her away. So he was like, look here, I'm getting ready to end this agreement. Okay, because you don't went around and dipped out on me. You don't have sex with somebody else. Obviously, it's not me. I don't want to put you out there like that. So I'm just getting ready to divorce you. Because he said you were considered to be a whore in Israel, as we get ready to read in the law. If you had sex with anyone else while you were espoused or betrothed, which is engaged. If you were engaged, and slept with someone else, you were worthy of being killed. You and that man that you slept with, because you were considered to be a whore. This is the reason why it says here he didn't want people thinking that she was a whore, because he hadn't slept with her yet. So he was going to end it. But then it says in verse 8, the Gospel of Mary, chapter 8, verse 8, it says, but while he was meditating these things, behold, the angel of Yah appeared to him in his sleep and said, Joseph, son of David, fear not. Verse 9, be not willing to entertain any suspicion of the virgins being guilty of fornication. So the angel say, look, don't entertain any suspicion of the virgin being guilty of fornicating or to think anything amiss of her. He says, neither be afraid to take her to wife. He says in verse 10, for that which is begotten in her and now distresses your mind is not the work of man, but the set-apart spirit. So the angel is telling Joseph, do not be suspicious of the virgin. The angel is still calling her a virgin, and she's pregnant. He says, don't suspect your virgin of being a whore or being guilty of fornication. He said, don't dismiss her. Don't be afraid to take her as your wife. He let her know in verse 10 that I know you stressed out in your mind about this, but please know, take her as your wife, because that child that is in her, he said, is not the work of man. So for all of those of you who are saying, oh, Joseph is an earthly father, last time I checked, Joseph was an earthly man. He wasn't a spirit being. Verse 10 says that this is not the work of man, but the set-apart spirit. Verse 11, for she of all women is that only virgin who shall bring forth the Son of Yah, and you shall call his name Yeshua, that is Savior, for he will save his people from their sins. Verse 12, Joseph thereupon, according to the command of the angel, married the virgin. Still call her a virgin. He went on ahead, says, married the virgin and did not know her, but kept her in chastity. The same thing he said, he did not know her. He didn't sleep with her. So this kills your theory that Joseph is the earthly father. If Joseph is the earthly father, then how was the curse of Jeconiah and Solomon? How did he dodge that? If Joseph and Mary slept together before they were married and they were just espoused, wouldn't they have been fornicating? Why would he put Mary away if he was guilty too? It said that Joseph was a just man. What's just about that? Earlier we mentioned it was the kinsman redeemer of Mary. So let's, because we're at the end now, we're at the end of this lesson. Kinsman redeemer, Mary had no brothers. Therefore, she was entitled to inherit her family's land as long as she married someone who also descended from David. Joseph fit the bill, and being in the same royal line, he had claim to the throne. But he also, unfortunately, carried the blood curse. No biological son of his could ever legally qualify as Israel's king, but Joseph could secure Mary's right of inheritance. When Mary accepted Joseph's offer of marriage, she preserved her family's land and also solidified her son's claim to the throne of Israel. Yeshua was in the royal succession through Joseph, as I just said, but at the same time escaped the curse since he wasn't Joseph's biological son. However, he was a biological descendant of David through his mother and therefore the house and lineage of David. For those of you who are not aware about the laws of exception, this is a tribal inheritance that passes through the woman. You can find this in Numbers chapter 27, 1 through 11. There is an exception made in the Torah to have a tribal inheritance passed from a woman to the next generation if the father has no sons. And in Numbers 27, 1 through 11, it says, then came the daughter of Zelophehad, the son of Hebzer, the son of Gilead, the son of Machir, the son of Manasseh, the families of Manasseh, the son of Joseph. And these are the names of his daughters, and it goes on with his daughters. And it says, and they stood before Moses and before Eleazar, the priest, and before the princes of all the congregation by the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, saying, our father died in the wilderness, and he was not in the company of them that gathered themselves against the Most High in the company of Korah, but died in his own sins and had no sons. Why should the name of our father be done away from his family because he has no son? Give unto us, therefore, a possession among the brethren of our father. And Moses brought their cause before the Most High. And the Most High spoke unto Moses, saying, the daughters of Zelophehad speak right. Thou shalt surely give them a possession of an inheritance among their father's brethren, and thou shalt cause the inheritance of their father to pass to them. And thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel, saying, if a man die and have no sons, then you shall cause his inheritance to pass to his daughters. I'm going to say this again. And thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel, saying, if a man die and have no son, then you shall cause his inheritance to pass unto his daughters. And if he have no daughters, then shall give his inheritance unto his brethren. And if he have no brethren, then you shall give his inheritance unto his father's brethren. And if his father have no brethren, then you shall give his inheritance unto his kinsman, and is next to him of his family, and he shall possess it. And it shall be unto the children of Israel a statute, a statute of judgment, as the Most High commanded Moses. And it also is stated again in Numbers 36, 5 through 12, where it says the same thing. So with the conclusion of the matter, from all these passages, we have an exception that gives the right of tribal affiliation to pass from a woman to the next generation. Thus leads us to why and how Joseph was and became the kinsman redeemer of Mary. Mary was probably one of many daughters with no brothers, and she was an only child. Mary did all the tribal. She did all that the Torah instructed her to do in order to ensure that her tribal identity and inheritance could pass through her seed, which is the seed of David, by marrying someone from the tribe of Judah, because in Numbers 36 it says, so shall not the inheritance of the children of Israel remove from tribe to tribe, for every one of the children of Israel shall keep himself to the inheritance of the tribe of his fathers. So legally, the virgin birth was necessary to produce a sinless man who will be qualified and able to serve as our kinsman's redeemer, as long as, and Yah, he longed to redeem us. He wanted to redeem us back. The virgin birth, it was necessary. It was necessary, or else we wouldn't have been able to dodge the bloodline curse of the royal line of Judah. He would not have been able to fulfill the promise to David that he would have someone that would sit on his throne forever. And for those of you who are getting caught up in this whole the virgin and the young maiden debate, the betulah and the almond, the prophecy in Isaiah 7 has caused quite a controversy and a heated debate. Some claim that Mary was not a virgin or almah, and then others argue that she was a young woman and not a betulah, which means she was a virgin. However, when you read the scriptures, we got to make sure that we stay, and I told you this in the beginning, we got to stay within the parameters and the context in which words are being spoken. Once we remove a word out of the context in which it's being spoken, we can make it mean whatever we want. With that being said, in Isaiah 7:14, was the angel of the Most High Yah referring to Mary as a virgin, a young maiden of marriageable age, or both? So in Isaiah 7:14, it says, therefore the Most High himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. Now, Matthew 1:18 not only stressed that the Most High Yah used a virgin, but the fact that Mary was a virgin throughout her entire pregnancy. Okay, we just got finished reading that in Matthew chapter 1, as well as in the pseudepigrapha in the Gospel of Mary. And Matthew 1:25 confirmed that Joseph kept Mary a virgin until after she gave birth to Yeshua. And the prophecy Isaiah 7:14 only reaffirmed what we just got finished reading in Matthew chapter 1. So this proves that, I don't understand what it is that everyone is so astonished with. When unbelievers argue against Isaiah 7:14, that she was a young, it says that she was a young woman. That don't mean that she was a virgin. We're gonna clear up the difference between betulah and almah. The word almah used by Isaiah does unquestionably also mean a young woman. Isaac's bride, Rebecca, was a young woman, or almah, as stated in Genesis 24:43, but she also was a betulah too. She was a young woman who was a virgin. And Genesis 24:16 says that Rebecca was a virgin and that no man had ever known her either, or meaning had sex with her. In the Hebrew culture, it was expected, and listen very carefully, the foolishness that goes on today is not the same foolishness that went on in those days. In the Hebrew culture, it was expected that a young woman would also be a virgin before marriage. There will be no such thing as the virgin debate like we do now, because everyone now is acting like whores, hopping around like rabbits, hopping all on top of each other, whether you married or not, fornicating. And Israel need to quit it, because that's a big problem among Israelites, is fornication and going around and saying sex constitutes marriage. That's getting ready to be one of my shows too, because it's not. In the Hebrew culture, it was expected. This is the reason why so many people have a problem with this, because they're basing it off of the westernized culture and the way that everyone is fornicating now. It was expected that a young woman would be a virgin in the Hebrew culture. Unlike today's whore society, no one is saving themselves for marriage. And saving yourself for marriage is being frowned upon. I heard people making fun of and talking about Sierra and her football player because they said they're going to wait until they get married. And people are dogging them out. But then you want to uphold same-sex marriage, but then you want to dog out someone who says they want to save themselves for marriage. See, this is the society that we live in. This is it. To save yourself for marriage is frowned upon. Being a virgin into marriage was a serious matter with consequences, a.k.a. death, at that time. If you were a young woman or an almah who was found not to be a virgin before you got married. Isaiah prophecy not only signifies the miracle birth of our coming Messiah, but it also validates the impossibility of a virgin conceiving possible. That's why the angel said that it will be a sign. A sign is a miracle. Perhaps this is why so many continue to miss or just blatantly refuse to believe. He says, therefore, the Most High himself shall give you a sign in Isaiah 7:14. This is going to be a sign. Behold, the virgin shall conceive. He said a virgin is going to conceive. A virgin. Once you sleep with a man, we all know that you are no longer a virgin. Okay? The Hebrew word for sign means miracle. It's no miracle for a young woman to conceive. In fact, young women who are married and unmarried conceive all the time today. So what's the miracle in somebody young having a baby? Now, people have babies every 5 minutes. What's the miracle in that? What's the sign of that? There's no miraculous sign in that. However, it is a miraculous sign for a virgin to conceive. Would it be too hard for the set-apart spirit of the Most High to plant a seed in the womb of a woman without heat and lust if he could create mankind from the ground? How can you believe the story of creation but at the same time reject the virgin birth of our Hebrew Messiah? Do you not believe what the Most High word says when he says it is written? As my dear sister said earlier, he spoke creation into existence. He created light and it was so. He created dark, it was so. He created the sun, he spoke it, it was so. Isaiah's use of almah has made it one of the most controversial passages in Scripture. So after having looked at all the places where the word is found in Scripture, I saw that it always spoke of a young woman who was a virgin and never once knew a man. As I stated earlier in the Hebrew, it was expected that a young woman would be a virgin until marriage. There's no such thing as questioning it. That's only for our society. Don't try to mix our society in with Scripture. This is two different times. They were in the land. Almah and betulah would not have been up for discussion then. Nevertheless, due to the rapid fornication and the looseness of today's society, here we are having this discussion. So to shut this thing down, we're going to quickly go before we end this. We're going to go to the laws of virginity and engagement in Deuteronomy chapter 22, verses 13 and 24. The laws of virginity, it says in verse 13, Deuteronomy 22, it says, if any man take a wife and go in unto her and hate her and give occasional speech against her and bring up an evil name upon her and say, I took this woman, and when I came to her, I found her not a maid. Then the father of the damsel and her mother take and bring forth the tokens of the damsel virginity unto the elders of the city in the gate. And the damsel father shall say unto the woman, to the elder, I gave my daughter unto this man to wife, and he hated her. And lo, he hath given occasional speech against her, and saying, I found not your daughter a maid. She wasn't a virgin. So this is saying, look, this is a law of virginity. When you were married, you had to be a virgin. Okay, you had to be a virgin. And if you go in here and you have sex and there's no blood, meaning the hymen it hasn't been broken, that means somebody already done been there. These are the tokens of virginity. He says, look, they shall spread the cloth. I'm in I'm in verse 17, and with the blood on it to prove she was a virgin. This is a way that they proved that you were a virgin when you got married. Your husband would go in unto you, have sex with you, your hymen would break, and then the blood that's on it would prove that you were a virgin. And then they would bring the cloth out to say, look, that's not true. He's saying my daughter's not a virgin. Look, the parents are coming with the cloth. This is the cloth with my daughter's blood on it. She is a virgin. And they would bring it before the elders of the city in verse 17, verse 18. And the elders of that city shall take that man and chastise him. Now they getting ready to get on the man. Because they say, you over here lying. They got the cloth with the blood on it proving that she was a virgin. Verse 19, and they shall immerse him in 100 shekels of silver and give them unto the father of the damsel, because he had brought an evil name upon the virgin of Israel. So this will cause bringing an evil name upon her, making her look like she a whore, just as the same reason why Joseph was going to put Mary away, because he thought he didn't want everybody to think that she was a whore. And she shall be his wife, and he may not put her away all his days. But if this thing is true, now if he find out that this is true, there's no blood, and the tokens of virginity shall not be found from the damsel. Verse 21, it says, then they shall bring out the damsel to the door of the father's house, and the men of the city shall stone her with stones, and she shall die. Why? Because she has brought folly, meaning foolishness in Israel, to play the whore in her father's house. So you shall put away this evil from her. So this was considered to be evil. They said that if you was a woman and you trying to pass yourself off as a virgin and you sleep with somebody and they find out that you're not a virgin, that there's no blood on that cloth, they're going to take you out to stone you. There was no such thing as fornication back then. You was getting ready to die. The majority of the world will be gone today, including myself, before I came into the truth. Because there was no such thing as fornication. When you got married, it was expected that you were a virgin. So those of you who are trying to use this as a reason to say that Mary was fornicating with Joseph and that she was a whore and that they brought our Messiah into a situation that he came through the loins of a whore, shame on you. In the laws of engagement in Deuteronomy 22, verses 23 and 24 says, if a damsel that is a virgin be betrothed unto an husband, and a man find her in the city and lie with her, then you shall bring them both out of the gate of that city, and they shall stone them with stones that they die. The damsel, because she cried not, being in the city, and the man, because he humbled his neighbor's wife. See, remember earlier I told you that betrothed means engaged and it's likened unto marriage. And so if you go and sleep with someone that's betrothed, she's already considered to be someone else. It says, if the virgin is betrothed to a husband, so she's already engaged to her husband, and what's the first thing before that? It says a virgin, meaning he hasn't touched her yet. You were getting ready to get stoned to death. It tells you that in verse 24. Stone them with stones. First, there is no place in the original, what you like to call the Old Testament, where almah is used to refer as a young woman who is married or has known or has sexual relationships with a man. I'm going to say it again. There is no place in the Old Testament where almah or a young woman who is married or has known or has sex with a sexual relationship with a man. If a woman was a whore, then she was called a whore. In fact, we just got finished reading the laws of virginity, where if a young woman, and they also called her a damsel or a maid, was caught lying or pretending to be a virgin, she was stoned to death by all the men of her city. If that was the law today, many of us listening to this lesson right now would be dead. But thank goodness for the Most High's mercy and forbearance. So when I looked up young virgin and young woman, maid, and damsel, they were all used interchangeably. They were all used interchangeably. So this further proves my point that we must understand Scripture in the context in which it is being spoken. The one time that we see the term translated as either young maiden or young woman, with its true meaning being that of a virgin, was Abraham's servant. When Abraham's servant was sent to get his wife for Isaac, he said in Genesis 24:33, he says, "Behold, I am standing by the spring, and may it be that the maiden or the almah who comes out to draw, and to whom I say, please let me drink a little water from your jar." Now, was Rebecca already married? Had she known the man? Absolutely not. Rebecca was a young woman who was also a virgin. Therefore, the word almah, it does apply. Ending this, and Prina, you can come on in. There are going to be many people who started out with us. As it says in 1 John 2:19, they went out from us, but they were not of us, for if they had been of us, they would no doubt have continued with us. But they went out that it might be made manifest that they were not of us. To all you non-Messianic believers and those who are anti-virgin believers, you have attempted to dispel, whether you know it or not, the testimony of our Messiah. There are too many holes in your deceptive thinking. There's too many holes. If Mary wasn't a virgin, are you saying that the Most High allowed our Messiah to come through the womb of a fornicator? For Mary had been betrothed or married to someone else prior to Joseph. Was she married or betrothed to someone else before Joseph? This would have made our Messiah tainted and impure. If Joseph was our Messiah's biological father, are you saying that Joseph's earthly, fleshly seed was pure enough, righteous enough, set apart enough to cleanse the sin of all mankind for once and for all? Are you saying that? If that's so, then why isn't Joseph sitting at the right hand of the Father? If Joseph, who was a direct descendant of Jeconiah, if he was our Messiah's biological father, are you saying that our Messiah's curse will not prosper and is doomed to fail? And so, then you have no Messiah coming, because that would have ended as Zedekiah. Therefore, he would have been cut off. If Joseph, who Scripture states was a just man, is our Messiah's biological father, then why did he seek to privately put her away if he knew that this was his biological child? What's just in that? After all, according to you all, they had sex, right? The Scriptures clearly states that Joseph did not have sex with Mary or did not know her until after Yeshua was born. If Joseph was our Messiah's biological father, then why did the angel of the Most High have to come and warn Joseph about Mary's condition and explain how and why she, who was became pregnant? If he knew that Joseph had touched her, would the angel have come? Come on, friend. Would that have made? Why would the angel of Yah come to warn Joseph about? If he knew that this, he would have said, "Look, Joseph, you know this your child. Come on now. Your plan got too many holes in it." Those of you who when he said to see the David, open up your eyes and learn how to study the way that the Most High say. If something that you're reading in Scripture contradicts with other things that are being spoken of, especially in the Torah, then know that it is your understanding that is off, not the word itself, because it is written. In Matthew 1:18 through 28, it says the birth of the Messiah would be this way. It told you. Satan's entire goal is to get you to deny Yeshua. It is to get you to deny his testimony and to take as many people as possible with him to the lake of fire. And he's using the same old trick that he used in the garden to get you to believe a lie, and you're falling for it. For those of you who have believed Satan's lie of our Mashiach not being born of a virgin and the set-apart spirit of the Most High Yah, do you not realize you have no Messiah coming? So who are you waiting to come back and crack the sky? Don't you realize that Satan has tricked you? He's tricking you out of your salvation. He's causing many of you to even maybe commit the unpardonable sin of blaspheming the set-apart spirit of the Most High Yah by attributing its power to that of a carnal, fleshly man. He tells you in Matthew 12, he says, wherefore I say unto you, all manner of sin and blasphemy shall be forgiven unto men, but the blasphemy against the set-apart spirit shall not be forgiven unto men. Whosoever speaketh a word against the Son of Man, it shall be forgiven him. But whosoever speaketh against the set-apart, it shall not be forgiven, neither in this world, neither in the world to come. Galatians 3:1 says, who has bewitched you, meaning who has put you under a spell that you should not obey the truth? He says, I marvel that you are so soon removed from him that called you into the grace of our Messiah. He tells you in 1 Timothy 4 that in latter times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of demons. He says, take heed unto yourself, take heed unto the doctrine, and continue in the doctrine. For in doing so, he says, you shall save both yourself and those that hear you. Refrain from these men and leave them alone. He says, unless you find yourself fighting against Yah. Do you want to be fighting against Yah? Those of you who are speaking against the virgin birth of our Messiah, he says, do you want to find yourself fighting against Yah? Who wants against Yah? No lie can stand against the truth. Many of you, he says, your faith stand in the wisdom of men and not in the power of Yah. He says, we speak the wisdom of Yah in a mystery, even the hidden wisdom, which Yah ordained before the world unto his set apartness or his high esteem. Yah have revealed them unto us. He's given it to us, it says, by his set apart spirit. Many of you think that you have his spirit, and you don't. Many of you have been sent a strong delusion because you love the lie and you believe it. So since you believe the lie is the truth, he said, you're going to be damned because you took pleasure in that lie. It is written how our Messiah came to be. You either accept the word the way it is or you don't. He says that the natural man receives not the things that are of the spirit of Yah. He says, for unto him they are foolish. He said he can't know them nor spiritually discern them. It's not going to happen. He says not all men have faith. He says not all men have faith. So he says, withdraw yourselves from every brother that walks disorderly. From every brother that walks disorderly, withdraw yourself from every brother that walks disorderly, not after the traditions which he received of us. If any man obey not our word by this epistle, note that man and have no company with him, that he be ashamed. He says, count him not as an enemy, but admonish him, mean to warn him, strongly criticize him, come down hard on him as a brother. And I'm going to leave you with this last one, to the law and to the testimony of Yeshua HaMashiach. If they speak not according to this word, it's because there is no light in him. I know this was a long lesson today. I did not want to break it up. I wanted to keep this together because it is so pivotal for those of you who are out there who, if you have been one of those people that have been speaking about or speaking against the way that our Messiah came to be, speaking against the deity of who he is and his totality, how he came to be, the virgin birth, you need to repent. If you if you disagree with anything in this lesson, you tell me how he came to be. You tell me how Joseph, an earthly man, is his father, because it can't happen.
Mm-hmm.
It can't happen. Anybody, you press *6 on your phone right now. If you press it, and make sure when you come with some scriptures and you come with precepts, because I have hit you up with every law. I have broken down the difference between a young maiden or a virgin and a young woman. I have lined up precepts. I have taken you through the lineage on Joseph's side, Mary's side, the kingship from the tribes of Judah, where it began, where it ended. There is no way, unless you are completely forward, that you can still sit here and tell me you believe that Joseph, it is no way that Joseph is his earthly father. When it speaks of the seed of the woman, it's not talking about sperm. It's talking about the offspring, the descendant. The seed of the woman is Israel. Many of you need to learn how to study. You can't read one scripture and then pull apart the entire totality of who our Messiah is. Revelations 1:1-3 and Revelations 19 and 10 speaks about the testimony of Yeshua. Those who have the seal, and Prina, we talked about this in a different lesson.
Mm-hmm.
In order to have the seal, you got to have the testimony of Yeshua. If you're going around speaking against how he came to be, you don't have the testimony. You don't have the truth. And you are possibly blaspheming. And this lesson needs to go out, especially to our Hebrew Israelite brethren, because I'm not really hearing this teaching in Christianity. I didn't hear this teaching, Brina, until I came into the truth 11 years ago. Yeah. This was the first time. And y'all told me to get away from these men. He gave me those scriptures in order. Get away from these men. He says, take heed to the ministry you received of me. Just as you accepted Yeshua, so must you be led by him. Get away from these men. I have revealed the road of life to you. Yeshua is the way, the truth, and the life. Whatso things you have learned, received, heard, and seen in him, continue to practice those things, and the peace of Yah will be with you. That's the message that Yah gave to me. The message that I'm giving today, and you know I rarely do this, but I'm coming to you with the authority of Yeshua HaMashiach behind me. I was given that. He gave me that confirmation to stand firm in our master. If you know anybody that's teaching this, post this video because it will be up later on today. Post this video in all these Hebrew groups because there's too many of these Israelite camps. And I'm not going to name names, but y'all warn me about them. They need to see this. I would challenge anybody. You tell me how. I've heard people say, oh, well, you know, Joseph is his earthly father because they say he was coming through the sea. Okay, you tell me how sin came through all men, through Adam. So you tell me how Joseph is the earthly father, that his physical seed is in Yeshua. That would make our Messiah an earthly man.
Yeah.
It says he was without sin. So you tell me how Joseph is his father, and Joseph come from the direct lineage of Solomon and Jeconiah. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So if anybody have any, if you got any questions, comments about today's lesson, I thank everybody because I'm looking at the dashboard. We have a lot of people that stayed with us. Thank you so much for your patience and hanging with us today. Today is the longest show that I've ever had, but this lesson was, I was led by the Most High to give this message. Excuse me? So press *6 on your phone. Anyone have any questions? Any comments about today's show? Prina, your thoughts? Hello? I think she may have been disconnected. If there's anyone else who has any questions, Prina? I'm not sure what happened, but Prina, are you back on?
Yes, I'm back on. Sorry about that.
Okay, your thoughts on today's show before we end, because I don't see anybody pressing star 6.
This is a thorough lesson that the Most High Yah have given to you. You know, Yah is not an author of confusion, so you lined up precept upon precept, line up upon line, so no one can dispute this. And I just want to say Psalms 47 says that Yeshua come in a volume on the book, and it is written of him.
Mm-hmm.
And you cannot dispute it. So if you dispute it, then you are blaspheming against the Most High set-apart spirit, which is unpardonable.
Yeah. It is. You got to believe the word as it is written.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And if you don't believe that, then there's nothing else I can tell you. I'm not arguing with anybody else about this virgin birth. I wanted to put this out so that this audio broadcast can be out as a teaching to those who do have an ear to hear and a heart to understand and a love for the Most High and believe what is written. And so it can be out there. And anybody that dispel it then or dispute it, then you go ahead and dispute it. You're going to find yourself, just like y'all said, fighting against Yah.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't go there. So if you could just lead us out with a prayer quickly. And today we so far over time. I think I might just, if you can quickly do it, because I'm getting ready to end this.
Okay, this First Chronicles 29, verse 10 through 13, verse 18. And David blessed Yah before the eyes of all the congregation. And David said, Blessed are you, O Yah, the power of Israel, our Father forever and ever. To you, O Yah, be the greatness, the power, and the high esteem, and the victory, and the majesty, for all in the heavens and the earth belongs to you. O Yah, yours is the kingdom, and you lift up yourself to all as head. And the riches and honor come from before you, and you rule over all. And in your hand is power and might, and it is in your hand to make great and to give strength to all. And now our power, we are giving thanks to you and giving praise to your high esteemed name. O Yah, the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, our fathers. Keep this forever for the intent of the thoughts of the heart of your people, and prepare their heart toward you. In Yeshua's name, so be it.
All right, so we thank you all for joining us today. I'm apologizing, but then I'm not.
Right.
I'm sorry. I do not try and take up your whole Sabbath, but I want to say a warm thank you to everyone that hung with us. I'm seeing numerous people from out of town. Thank you so much for staying with us. Please share this message. It's going to be available later on today. I'm going to have it posted on Facebook among the Hebrew Israelite groups that are on Facebook, as well as on YouTube via Daughter Yah. Please share this message, especially if you hear this teaching going out. And we thank you all. We just pray that you enjoy the rest of your Sabbath. So we just say Shabbat Shalom.